8. Welcome, everybody. Let's have that conversation this beautiful Saturday morning. Nice, breezy Ohio weather. We're looking at about, right now, 60-degree weather with wind. What's going on, everybody? Where's all the devil pups? I know you all didn't go to the Crime Con, or did you? Let's get it, everybody. Let's have that conversation. Beautiful morning. Beautiful morning. Welcome, 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 everyone. Let me know where you're from if you don't mind. I am in Ohio, Northwest. Where is everybody from? God, it's a beautiful day today. A little chilly on the little side, but very nice. Today we're going to talk about we're going to just cover a lot of different cases that are going on, and we're going to focus on some new cases. We're going to focus on Nancy and others that we talked about, but they're going to be just slight. We're actually going to tap into a new case today. We're just going to talk about it. It's new, just came out, and we want to see what's going on. Falls, good morning, Falls. There you go. There you go. It's a little windy, but nothing we can't power through. Good morning, Falls. So, we're going to talk about a new case today. We're going to talk a little bit about Nancy's case because I want to bring something up and kind of see where you guys go with it. And then we're going to talk about a couple other cases or just touch on these other cases that we've been talking about. So, with that, let's get it, everybody. You got your water, got your coffee, got your donuts, ready to roll. Let's rock. So, today, you all remember when Nancy had gone missing and they had claimed that there was another lady that went missing. Another lady by almost the same age. Welcome, Paige. Good morning. Joanne Schaefer, thank you. Welcome. Good morning. So, do you guys remember a case that happened during the same time as Nancy Guthrie was taken? There was another lady found somewhere in the desert having approximately the same age as Nancy and was taken to a hospital. You guys remember that? She was taken to the broader Arizona, the Banner, Arizona Medical Center by helicopter. You guys remember that? Yes, Paul said. Do you know, did they ever say a name on that individual by any chance? Does anybody ever catch a name of the lady that was found and taken by helicopter in the desert? Paige says no. Anybody else? Anybody else? Do you know the name of the lady that was taken to the medical center, the Banner Medical Center, by helicopter that was found during the same time as Nancy Guthrie? Did said new subscriber here from Abrahu Chad. Good to have you, my friend. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you so much. Joan said no. Okay, well, do you find it kind of mysterious that during the same time there was a lady reported, that was taken by helicopter to this welcome company page. I don't remember the incident. There was a lady that was reported. She was found in the desert, approximately similar age, and was taken by helicopter all the way to Banner Medical Center, which is a hospital, and everyone thought it was Nancy. Do you guys remember that? Pause. No. And when you Google it, that comes up. There was a serious car crash. And another thing, it says a mayor was airlifted to the hospital. Interesting. That's not what I got, but I'm just curious. Well, some had said her name was Nancy. Some did say her name was Nancy. And I don't know if it was people saying it was Nancy or if it was really Nancy Guthrie. Diane says, I may be wrong, but I believe the other woman was also named Nancy. I kind of vaguely remember that it was, well, that they said it was Nancy. Okay. Barb, no, they never did mention a name. I always thought that it could be Nancy. Was thinking she has been kept in protected custody until found. Okay, because a lot of what everything everybody is saying has been all this misinformation. Everything everybody's saying is probably spot on because some heard something, some heard other things, and I did hear everything you guys just said. Everything I heard in different ways, shape, or form, or different platforms. And the reason I bring this up because when I Googled that situation, I didn't get a name. I didn't get a name. It just said they found an elderly woman airlifted by a helicopter, Banner University, taken to Banner University Medical Center. She was found in a rough terrain in the desert. Yes, that is true, Barb. There was another Nancy found, yes, but that was a little bit later. But the one that we were talking about happened, God, I think a little bit a few days after Nancy was gone missing, right? The one that we're talking about, the one I'm talking about, it happened like about 2, 3 days after Nancy was taken, and everybody thought that was it. Remember, some even said JLR and a couple other people went to the hospital to see if it was Nancy. Well, when I googled that because I wanted to find out about this lady who was taken, 857 group heard it on Scanner. There you go, April. Good to have you. But when I googled this lady that was found, yes, a couple of days after she was missing. When I googled it, it didn't give a name. Same day they did the raid in Rio Rico. Okay, so here's the thing that I'm looking at. I googled it and I didn't get a name. I remember hearing the name Nancy. I do remember that. And I do remember the lady right after Nancy was taken, and then there was a lady down the road that was taken. The same life flight is the same life flight with an 84-year-old female. Sure, if that's what you see, but I'm just saying what I wrote down because of what it said when I Googled it. Joan, is this the lady that was found near a pond and they said it looked like she could have been dragged? That was a different one. I think that was the second one. The second one after Nancy was reported missing. Yeah, the second one. So, and this is just a tidbit I'm throwing in here, okay? Because this is not mainly what we're going to cover. We're not going to cover this a lot. I just wanted to ask you all this information because there's so much misinformation going on and so many different things, and it's so wonder everybody's like all over the place, even myself, because we're hearing so much. It's hard to get everything in line. I Googled, let me tell you what I Googled, okay? So you guys would know. Let me tell you what I Googled so that you guys can see what I Googled. This is what I Googled, okay? What was the other lady's name that was rescued and taken to Banner University Medical Center during the time Nancy Guthrie had gone missing? Okay. All right. Then I also put in there another time I put, was there an 84-year-old woman who was found in the desert and taken to a local hospital in a helicopter? Okay. Paige, I always suspected that it was Nancy in the life flight and still do. Probably is, Paige. Probably is. Okay. But when I asked that question in the broader Arizona search and rescue, this is what they said, an elderly woman not confirmed to be Nancy, who was found in a remote desert area during a search operation. She was airlifted by a helicopter to a hospital, often reported as Banner University Medical Center. Okay, follow me so far. After being located in rough terrain, the incident circulated online as a link to the Guthrie case, but law enforcement did not confirm any connection. They just didn't confirm any connection. Okay. And then it says important clarification. The Pima County Sheriff's Office helicopter rescues in Arizona are fairly common in the terrain of heat and remote hiking. Several unrelated rescue missions were happening around the same period, which is why social media started blending them together. Okay. Follow me so far. There is no official report confirming that an 84-year-old woman found in the desert was part of the Nancy Guthrie investigation or that she was taken or missing from the case. Okay. Bottom line, yes, an elderly woman was airlifted from the desert terrain in Arizona during this time frame. No, it's not been confirmed as part of the Nancy Guthrie case. No official statement supports that she was taken. Okay. So then I asked it a question again. They're never confirming anything. That is so true, Barb. They're never confirming nothing. It's like they don't want to give you a jack. So then I asked it again. What was the other lady's name that was rescued and taken to Banner University? And it said, not the viral claim is not backed up by law enforcement report or confirmed news identification. Here's what actually happened. This is what they said. During the early search of phases of Nancy Guthrie, there was social media reports, live stream speculations about medical helicopters flight into Banner University Medical Center, Tucson. Those posts claimed an elderly woman, often described as 84, 85 years old, had been airlifted from the desert. However, there's always that however. If he misses your comment, please repeat it. I will post it. Hey, Devil Dogs, Justice for Nancy. You got it, fan. You got it. However, Banner Health publicly denied that Nancy Guthrie or any patient matching that narrative was admitted in connection with the case. And authorities said the helicopter activity was not related to the investigation. Did you guys hear what I just read? The last part. Read it again. Interesting. JLR was at the hospital. I agree with you, Barb. I agree. Parking lot, when he was in the hospital parking lot when the helicopter landed on the roof, right? And they're not saying there wasn't a helicopter that landed. They weren't saying that there wasn't a helicopter that landed. Barb, I was in the chat, says Paige. Right. Now listen to what I'm saying again. However, Banner Health, public, Banner Health is the hospital. Okay? Banner Health publicly denied that Nancy Guthrie or any patient matching that narrative was admitted. I'm sorry, any patient in that narrative was anyhow probably denied. Guthrie or any patient matching that narrative was admitted in connection with that case. That it didn't happen is what they're saying. And authorities said the helicopter activity was not related to the investigation. There was no verified missing other elderly woman connection to the Guthrie. I'm just telling you what I Googled. I'm telling you what I Googled because I want you guys to hear how bad misinformation is. And not just that, yeah, I know. I heard and I remember JLR going to the hospital, right? I remember that. I remember a lot of people went and they were in the parking lot because they heard about somebody being found out in the desert, in the wash area or in the desert, and they were metaflighting him there, and everybody thought it was her, right? Remember? I remember that. Diane, do you think that private plane was the perp? But then it says there is no verified missing other elderly woman connected to the Nancy Guthrie investigation whose identity was released publicly. They don't make it easy to get information, do they? Because if you're outside and you see the helicopter land, you don't know who's on the helicopter. You really don't know, right? You're in the parking lot. You don't know who's in the helicopter. It's not like you're in the OR. Helicopter lands. Everybody says, that's it. That's it. They're saying there's no confirm of that. What it did say is if a helicopter rescue did occur on those rescues, do happen frequently and are treated as separate medical emergencies. Well, duh. Why it got confusing? Listen to this. The situation got mixed up online because multiple helicopter rescues happen in rural Arizona weekly. Heat exposure, hiking injuries, dehydration. Live streamers near the Guthrie search area amplified unrelated emergency traffic. Early rumors incorrectly connected the helicopter movement to the case. Follow me? Why do I bring this up? Well, one, I was curious because I had heard a lot of other things that you all have said as well. I've heard the same thing. I heard there was a lady about also the same age as Nancy, also named Nancy. And it was like, well, what kind of coincidence is that? And then heard that, they found her out there and that they ended up metaflighting her to this Banner Hospital Medical Center. But you just heard everything I just read to you right here. So I guess to say we need to be careful of everything that we read and everything that we follow. We need to go look at it because it could throw us off, literally. Diane says, I have no idea, but a friend of mine knows the pilot. Oh, my Lord, Diane. And has spoken to, a friend of mine that knows the pilot to him. She said he wouldn't comment any passengers. Oh, wow. Hey, that's a nugget there. Diane, if you're not a subscriber, you need to be a subscriber and a member. Good information. Outstanding. Woo! That's a good one. Her friend knows the pilot, and he would not give the names of anybody in there. Interesting. Is there a conspiracy here? Are they trying to literally throw everybody off? Could she be alive? So the scanner call was fake. Not saying that, April. Not saying that at all. I'm not saying anybody's untruthful or not. I'm saying about all the confusion that's going on. But that is interesting what Diane just said. Did you guys just read it? She said, I have no idea, but a friend if mine knows the pilot and has spoken to him, she said he wouldn't comment on any passengers. Interesting. They just want everyone to be confused. No honesty anywhere, says Barbara. No doubt. No doubt. Well said, Barbara. Paige, we definitely never got a name of the 84-year-old female on the lifeline. There you go. That's what they're saying here. April, so the scanner call was a fake. No, I don't think it was a fake. It could have just been a 20-year-old, right? Could have been a 30-year-old. But that's what they said because I just showed you where I Googled, right? It's just Google it, right? You should be able to get information. Dog, Diane is referring to a private plane, not the helicopter. Okay. Diane says, I have an idea, but a friend of mine knows the pilot and has spoken to him. She said he wouldn't comment on any passengers. Doesn't sound like she said a plane. Sounds like she's saying he's just a pilot. That's what you would call, right? A helicopter. Do they have a different name they go by? I'm just asking because I never heard of anything other than a pilot being for either or. Because she didn't say specifically a plane. Diane, is that a plane? The private plane was a Tucson airport, flew to Sonoma. Oh, okay, thank you for clearing. Thank you, Paige. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Barbara said, what private plane? The private plane was at Tucson airport, flew to Sonoma. Thanks, Diane, for clarifying for Dog. Appreciate you. Says Paige. Barb, thanks, Diane. No, they said 84-year-old woman over scanner is my understanding. That's why all streamers went to the hospital. A song is in the house. Good to have your song. Paige. Ah, false. But you see how information gets all like twisted. On one hand, here, I was confused what she was saying. But in the end of the day, we know what we see, right? She is referring to, I get it. I get it now, Paige. April, she is referring to a different night, different plane. That is correct. But he went to Sonoma. That is correct. But the helicopter, they said they had nobody in helicopters coming in. I just read it to you all, right? I just read it to you all. I just read it to you all on Google. Page, I know I am talking about scanner call. Right. Right. There was a scanner call that came in. We just don't know who the person was. Was it someone who was younger, older? Because we were under the impression that the person that they brought in was an 84-year-old lady named Nancy, just happened to be a coincidence, right? Remember, that's what I thought, that there was another lady that we brought in. Hi, Marianne. There was another lady that we thought was brought in by the same name, and we said, well, how could that be a coincidence? You know, same name, same age. Remember, I remember me saying that. Fan flower in the house. Oh, good morning, Dee Dee and everybody. Marianne, hi, Paige. And I'm not doubting anybody. I wanted to ask this because I was looking at other cases and I wanted to know exactly where we were. No name, but gave age. There you go. Okay. That is true. There was no name, but they said even the age, they said, um, I think they said 84 to 85 was my understanding. I just wanted to know because there was so much confusion when I was looking this up. I do suspect Nancy was the life flight because way too much of a coincidence with no explanation. Correct. And they're not giving us any explanation on who was it. Was it? Did they cover it up? Did they literally get her and take her away to put her in protective custody? But then you ask, why would Savannah put up $500,000 to go find her mom? Barbara, yes, Paige. I would agree with that, Paige. So then why would Savannah hire 500,000 or put up $500,000 to pay private investigators to find her mom if they know where she's at or if that was her? Finding an 80-year-old woman that was dragged into the remote desert is big news. No, I get that. I get that. What I'm asking is why would Savannah, if that could have been or was Nancy, then why Why, if that was Nancy, if we think that was Nancy, why would she spend $500,000 now after 119 days to get some private investigators to look for her? Barbara trying to lure the perp in. April taunting the perp, in my opinion. Okay. Paige cover up. All great, great responses. All great responses. Thank you all for those great responses. That's what I try to figure out in my line of work, trying to process, everything out. L says either of those things are options. Yes, fan. Amen. All right. Paige. PI isn't looking for Nancy, but gathering evidence, in my opinion. Oh, Paige, I think that's why they're getting paid $300 to $500 an hour, is because they want her home. And these private investigators probably stated that they want her home. That's the caveat. Probably alive or unalive. Marianne said, right, Didi. I was about to ask the same thing. Why and why would she put up money? Thank you, Marianne. Appreciate that. April, Lisa, good opinion, no doubt. That's how we learn. That's how we learn, as we bounce things off of each other. And you guys come up with great ideas and theories and what you've heard, vice versa. Perfect. So we're on that ball. Welcome in, everybody. Click the like, click the share, click the like, click the share. We are been gaining a lot of subscribers. I just wanted you all to know we're doing very well. Um, if you do want to give, it looks like they made some adjustments, not completely fixed everything, but they made some adjustments to some things. So if you guys want to give, just go to the standard. If you're able to do whatever you want to do, go back to as in everything's okay, but they're still fixing certain things. They will adjust all that on the fly. When it all gets done, they will adjust it. Just want to throw that out there. Now let's get back to what we're talking about. I think they want justice, not bring her home because they know she's unalive. That's a good point, Paige. Paige, that's a very good point. No doubt about it. I can see that. I can see that. I think it's. I think everybody has come to that conclusion that she's probably unalive. Wouldn't that be crazy if she was alive? But yeah, uh, to put up that, and now that money, it's going to go quick. So I'm guessing they're probably going to have short amount of time to make this happen one way or the other. you know, and not that Savannah wouldn't fork over another 500,000. So we are to the conclusion that we know there was another woman taken. We know approximately the age. We don't know the name, although we have heard that she had the same name as Nancy. I remember that because everybody was talking about it. Too big of a coincidence for it not to be Nancy. But you guys heard what I read, what I just read you, right? So that's where we're at. I just wanted to know. Of course, law enforcement didn't confirm anything. There's my email if you got any information, everybody. Yep. And law enforcement has no report of being taken or abducted. Interesting. Very interesting, everybody. Absolutely, because there's so much information. Thank you, Paige. There's so much information out there that we have to make sure we keep everything within that parameters, because if we're all on the same sheet, right? Even if we have different ideas, but if we're all on the same sheet and understanding, then it's easier to progress from there. A reminder. Oh, I remember somebody looking up airplane that went up for sale right after Nancy disappeared. And there was one in Tucson that was put up for sale, I believe, 2 days after she disappeared. Go figure. Wasn't it kind of like they thought maybe they took her in a plane somewhere to keep her safe or something? I don't know. I don't want to make any more confusion here. I just want to go ahead and let you guys know that. April, like and subscribe, share this. Appreciate everybody. Click that like and share it to your followers, to your members, and on other lives. Pays Joanne, but what's that got to do with anything? Let's see. Joanne, I remember somebody looking up in airplanes for selling, believed 2 days after she was disappeared. Very well, could have wanted to get rid of that plane. She could have wanted to get rid of that plane because she didn't want any evidence to be found in there if in fact someone did have her in there, if Nancy was ever in there. Just trying to probably get rid of the evidence. I would think that's what she means, Paige, is she's trying to, they were trying to get rid of the evidence. So if they sell it, they get it out of their hands. If they used it for a crime and then they get rid of it, then it's out of their hands. Not that they could go back, but still they could say, well, wasn't me because we sold it. You know what I mean? That type of thing. I think that's what she meant. You welcome. You welcome. Got it now. So that's very interesting. See how that went? Pretty damn well. Pretty damn well. I like that. Because now we can focus on the things that really matter. Great info this morning. Thank you all for being here. Amen. Now we're kind of all in that same thinking frame. Even though we may agree on how she was taken was different and all this stuff, the idea that we all, because that's a big nugget. I mean, when you think about it, the idea that someone can literally say there was an 85-year-old woman taken, literally taken. And then there was another 84-year-old or 85-year-old woman taken whose name was Nancy. They found her at the desert. Man, that's a lot, you know? So, yeah, that's why I just wanted to clarify that. Marianne, evidence in plain in case they use it to move Nancy, or they used it to move Nancy and get rid of it because of the evidence in plain. Correct. Very well said, Marianne. Pays, thank you, M. So that's where that's at. Okay. Now, the idea that they're not giving us any information as to see how they leave everything open-ended, first of all. See how they leave all this information unfilled, you know? We can't confirm it. So when they say they can't confirm it or they don't want to confirm it, it's because they're saying we don't want to tell you. That's basically what it is in law enforcement. When you're working a case and somebody says, hey, can you verify or can you confirm or deny? We're not talking about it, right? That's what you hear. We're not talking about it. Rockport, good day all. I wonder if the PI is accepting tips from the public. I hope so. They would be smart to be taking a lot of tips. No doubt about it. So you go like this. You know, they ask you the question, Mr. Nanos, did this happen or did this happen? And then all of a sudden you hear, I'm not answering that question. We're not going there. It's because they don't want to tell us. For whatever reasons, they just don't want to tell us. Falls. I've been reading all your comments. I haven't seen any of your comments come in. You should be in there because I don't see any of your comments except the last one where you said F this. I don't see any Falls. Sorry. If I see them, I'll read them. And we'll look into that to see what's going on, but there's no reason why you should be being blocked. Marianne, that case is so crazy, anything is possible. April, News Nation is the ones that said Savannah paid the $500,000 for a task force. Savannah hasn't said anything that I have seen. Yeah, you're right about that, April, no doubt. April Falls, I am answering you. April, I see her. I just saw her a second ago when she put that comment down. All my comments are being ignored. I'm not seeing any other comments that you made, Falls. I'm going back to scroll. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other comments. There's one where you had the little picture of three, like you were thinking, three little emojis. That's all I got. The three little emojis falls. You said a comment to Joanne where you said yes, Paige. Same day as they did the raid in Rio Rico. We covered that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, well, keep putting out your comments. I'll read them if we see them. I think comments are being messed up. It's happened to me and Lisa, and YouTube can't tell why. I didn't see the false comments personally. I only saw that Didi was talking about the last one. April, she had the 500,000's been confirmed. Falls commented about the $500,000 not being verified. Yeah, I don't see that here. I don't see that. I do not see that at all. Not on my end. I only saw that. Okay, let's move on, everybody. We'll figure it out. Falls commented about the 500,000. Don't see it. Here we go. Marianne, I read about Savannah, but not from the News Nation. It came up on my phone. Just slow down, dog. You are missing a lot to. No, Paige, I'm not missing anything. I'm reading what I see. You have to understand, I can only read what I see. This is why I answered her about News Nation. Okay, guys, we all know we have issues with YouTube, right? We all know we have issues with YouTube. We've all experienced issues with YouTube. It just happens. I don't know why it happens, but it does. So next, I looked up a case that just happened today or came out yesterday that was on TV, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about that. So this morning on TV, there was a gentleman by the name of Chris McCoy, who he does rideshare from Douglas County, Atlanta, Georgia, has been missing since January the 7th. I really believe it's a glitch. We know you don't mean to ignore anyone. I don't ignore anybody. If I miss something, usually somebody will say something, I'll go back and find it. All right. So Chris McCoy, a rideshare driver from Douglas County, has been missing since January the 7th. January the 7th. Okay. At the top of the chat, there is a filter. You can choose top messages or all messages. Okay, at the top of the chat, there is all messages. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing that, to be honest. At the top of the chat there, okay, let's move on, everybody. Victim. So this Chris McCoy, okay, Chris McCoy, he went missing. Now, this guy, he's just a share driver. He's it's really interesting on this case. Very interesting because this guy who went missing, they did what has happened is the family has stated that they're being extorted. I thought it was ignored on yesterday chat, but maybe it was a glitch. I'm sure it's a glitch. Let's move on. Chris McCoy, a rideshare driver from Douglas County, has been missing since January 7th. The family has stated that they're being extorted. It's like the new thing that's going on now, I feel. For $10,000, okay? And that someone states that they went ahead and have information about where he's at. A song, two lines with dots. Two lines with dots says song. I got my thing on vertical. I'm not seeing two dots at all, everybody. Let me see here. No. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'll check it later because I can't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see no dots at all, to be honest, song. I got something that says top fans. I got something that says the numbers of the people in the chat, the likes. I don't have no dots. All right, here we go. Yeah, if I accidentally miss your comments, just repeat it. I don't miss anybody, especially my mods. I do not miss my mods. Let's be realistic here, everybody. If the accidentally misses your comments, please simply repost. Amen. Thank you. Song, he knows how to operate a chat. Here we go, everybody. Fans. April, like Lisa said, repost it if you feel it's missed. Let's move on. Joan, look at the page where it says live here. Okay, I see it. I see where it says live. Okay, and then it says there is an X. I see it. Yes. There is to the left of that two lines with two circles. No, I don't have two lines with two circles. I don't have that. That's the problem. If I could show you, you know, I can't show you. There is no two. I see the X. I see the live. See the X. All I have next to that X that says two fans. Oh, I'm sorry. It says top fans. That's it, and that's all I see. All right. So let's go ahead and just move on, guys. Let's move on. We'll get it. We'll get it. Let's just move on. We're doing good. Let's roll. Let's not get caught up in everything. Mistakes happen. Hey, if I made them, I apologize. But the fact of the matter is, here we go. Rock Prophet says, my question yesterday was if DD looked at my. Yes, I did look at your common denominator suspect that I emailed. Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Rock Prophet. Joan, is it to the left of the. There's nothing on the left of the X, guys. Nothing. I'm putting my finger and hitting everything to the left. Let me hit everything to the right. Nothing there either. I don't know what to tell you. So let's just move on. All right, let's move on, please. Thank you. As that, I mean, let's just move on, guys, please. We're rolling good. Let's keep rolling. We'll figure it out. No worries. Okay, now I'm not seeing Jack. This is why I don't like messing with nothing. Say something, somebody, so I can see if we have something. Say something, please. Here we go, everybody. Good morning, dog. Something, rock, prophet, something. Here we go. I'm starting to see you guys again. That's why I don't like messing with anything on the fly, guys. Here we go. Fanflower, do you think that Nancy took an Uber that night? Yeah, it's a good yes, I do. I do. According to the information they have, I do. April, rock, laughing out loud. All right, I see you guys. All right, so we can get back to it. Can we get back to it now? All right. So Chris McCoy went missing from Alabama. Gronsky, good morning. Let's get on a roll again. We were on a roll. We were killing it. Chris McCoy goes. He does ride share. He went missing January the 7th. The family stated that they're being extorted. Joanne, hi, Joanne. They're being extorted for $10,000. This is starting to look like this is a pattern that's going around all over, not just with Nancy. Diane, Nancy took an Uber to Annie's house. Yes, that is correct. 100% correct. According to what's been stated and shown, yes, she took an Uber. So now they talked to the dad, and it was interesting because the extortion attempt was made using, they took a picture of someone. Good morning, Groundsky. They took a picture or took the phone number out of somebody who had gone missing. And what they did is they called that number. So you know how you have photos that people put out, flyers? They took that number and called that, whoever that was, and told them that they had this individual and that they needed $10,000 or they would not get their son back. Isn't that crazy? Yes, the video was given to the ride to Uber, was given. All right, let's just stick with Nancy. Let's just talk about Nancy. Let's just talk about Nancy. It's all good. So, Nancy, the case, April, is from literally Georgia. The case is from Douglas County, Georgia. That's where the case is from. Douglas County, Georgia. It's a new one. L, yes, Diane. We just haven't heard it, but was given to LE. That is correct. We just haven't heard it. So the extortion attempt was made using a number listed on a missing persons flyer with the caller wanting the McCoy's father. Okay. Hey, said Nancy Grace. Okay, here you go. April 10,000 is what they started with Nancy's reward. Interesting. I wonder if it could be affiliated with the same people, April. Yes, Diane, we just haven't read it. Okay, now we're at page. Nancy Gray suggested the Uber driver involved and questions where the Uber driver went after and before Nancy's. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Marianne, no, I want to hear about the Georgia. We're all over, guys. We were rolling. We were rolling. We were on a roll. Let's get back to the roll. All right. We're gonna pause and we're gonna go back here. Let's go back to Nancy. Okay. Let's go back to Nancy and then we'll come back to this. So talking about the woman, the lady, okay? She was a lady that was literally taken. I just want everybody to be in the same groove because we were killing it, and then it just come on, everybody. So we talked about Nancy. I just wanted to get some questions answered from you guys, and you guys did magnificent. But we're moving on a new case. It's not like we're forgetting Nancy. We just talked about Nancy. If you want to talk about anything, just shoot it out there, but make sure that you write exactly who you're asking about, okay? so that I can answer correctly on what case you're talking about. How about that? Maybe that'll work better. Okay? So if you want to know about something, just say who you're talking about so we can go ahead and I can answer that. Yes, click that topic, everyone, please, to avoid confusion. Thank you so much. Appreciate that page. So right now I'm on Chris McCoy, but if you guys want to hear something with a question on something else, ask it away. I'll give you the answer. So Chris McCoy, once again, January 7th went missing. Family stated that he was being extorted for $10,000, that they wanted $10,000. The topic, rideshare's driver goes missing. Chris McCoy from Douglas County has been missing since January the 7th. Chris McCoy. The family stated that they are being extorted for $10,000. Now, earlier, someone said that when Nancy first was taken, they also were being trying to get $10,000 as well. I don't know who just said that, but somebody just mentioned it. Marianne, I want to hear about the Georgia case, please. So the $10,000 is what they're asking to get back the person that they took, which is Chris McCoy. Yes, basically a kidnapping. And so that's where that's at. The extortion attempt was made using a flyer number listed on a missing persons flyer with the caller warning that McCoy's father didn't know what his son was involved in. So now they're talking about they didn't know what his son was involved in. Okay, that's what they told. That's what the caller told the person who answered that phone number. So possibly an intimidation type. Yes, more than likely. The father's name is Bernard McCoy. That's Chris's father, Bernard McCoy. It appears that he was in the Navy, I believe. I believe. Don't quote me on that, but it looked like his hat that I could tell had something with the Navy on it. They provided the Douglas County Sheriff's Office with the messages from the extortionists, which were in both English and Spanish. English and Spanish. The McCoy family remains hopeful, but acknowledges the extortionist attempt had added extremely strain. That they were looking for their son. They couldn't find their son. And there was a lot of strain put, is what the father is saying, and a lot of distraction. He was missing for 3 weeks. This is Chris McCoy. Yes, the perp called the family. So probably an intimidation type, says L. Chris McCoy has been missing for 3 weeks. Bernard McCoy, the father of Chris, is a veteran. Chris drove a white Ford Fiesta, Georgia plates. And they even give you the number SFH 6439. He's 34 years of age, 6'1", and 175 pounds. Did they find his Fairlane? Fiesta is what he drove. A Dodge white Ford Fiesta. Yes, this is on Douglas County. Yes, Marianne. Song, did they find the Fairlane? Did they find the Fairlane? I'm not sure I know who had a Fairlane. You all there, right? April, this is George's case. That is correct. Page one, Fairlane. DD, is this on Douglas County? Yes. Come on, guys. You guys are always on it, man. Come on. Sorry, different Chris McCoy that went missing. You're good, Song. You're good. Page, same people. All right, all right. No, it's just comical, I think. I think it's comical, but we were on a roll, guys. People were listening. We were on a freaking roll. Now, the reason I bring this up is because in Douglas, some people, okay, Fanflower, not funny at all, in my opinion. Okay, the reason I brought this story up is because there's been a lot of people gone missing in the last year. 8 to 12 people have gone missing in this county alone. It takes one outburst to confuse. Be kind and respectful, please, says April. Thank you so much. So there's the reason I brought this case up to everybody is because there's 8 to 12 people that have gone missing. 8 to 12 people that have gone missing. Everybody, focus. 8 to 12. That's a lot for a county to have gone missing. 8 to 12. There's a young girl, and it's gonna be hard for me to pronounce her first name, but she goes by Lanijah, Lanijah Jemison. She is a 15-year-old. Now I'm just telling you other people that have gone missing. Lanijah Jameson is a 15-year-old reported missing by the Douglas County Sheriff's Office as well. She went missing on April the 29th, 2026, just here recently. Maurice, wow, that's awful, especially under the sheriff's there. No doubt. That was the reason I brought this up. Rockport, $10,000 to risk. $10,000 to risk 20. No doubt. That's what I was saying. I couldn't believe it. I'm just not saying I was not joking, just mistaken. You got it. No worries. You're all good, everybody. You're all good. View Namas missing persons case MP 11244 for Christopher J. McCoy, missing from Perrine, Florida. Got you. Got you. All working together here. We got this, everyone. Okay. All right. Here's the thing, everybody. I know it's going to be crazy for you all. Okay? I know it's going to be crazy for you all. Here. We're going to reboot this. Okay? We're going to reboot this. And maybe it's my fault because I have talked about a case and then I went to on, and maybe we weren't ready for that. Maybe we should have stayed where we were at. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make things simple, okay? We're going to make things simple because you guys are awesome, and you guys bring everything every day. Every day you guys bring it. So we're going to go ahead and do this, okay? Let's do this here. Nancy Guthrie. Let's just go to Nancy Guthrie, okay? That's been our focus point and everything. So let's go to Nancy Guthrie. Okay. When I had looked up some information, we're starting from the beginning. It's okay to go back to the beginning. Let's get it back to the beginning. When Nancy Guthrie went missing, there was another lady that was reported that had the same name. There was a lady that was reported that had the same exact name, Nancy. Yes, back to Nancy is the topic, everybody. We're starting from the beginning because there's too much confusion back and forth. So we're going to go back what got us to be on target, okay? No upset, no problems. Okay, so thank you, Song. So now there was an 84-year-old woman that was claimed that was also found out there like 2 days after Nancy was taken. Okay, and a lot of people suspected that the reason that this lady was out there is because some theories had it, and I read this. Some theories had it that because Nancy, she had went unalive, that they knew that they needed someone else to fill that void because they weren't going to be able to show a proof of life. This is what I heard in that whole case. This is not what I just told you. This is what I heard in this case. That's where that other lady came into play. That it is possible. I've heard people talk about it is possible that this other person who was taken by the same group because they had lost their proof of life. Okay, and they would they could be able to show maybe not the face of the lady, but they could be able to show something on the lady. That's what was being said why this other person was taken. Okay. Now, saying that, there was a person that was talked about that they said her name was Nancy. Okay, Nancy. And this Nancy apparently has was like the same age as Nancy Guthrie, 84 to 85 years old. And that she went missing. That they found her out in the wash or the desert period. And they took her, they flight her, they took her by helicopter to literally the medical center there in Tucson. And when they did that, the idea was that obviously everybody got to the understanding that it was Nancy. So a lot of people, a lot of streamers flocked towards there because they wanted to see if that was Nancy. And so what ended up happening is there wasn't any confirmation from the hospital. There wasn't any confirmation from the law enforcement. They would not confirm if there was even a lady brought in. They weren't able to confirm anything, nothing at all, zero. They wouldn't, almost like they didn't want us to have that information. They didn't want the people to know. And we have all speculated, right, that it's probably because they were trying to protect her. They were trying to go ahead and find out more information from this lady to see if she could tell them about the perps. Paula says HIPAA, right? So they couldn't say anything. Their hands were kind of not so much tied, but it was there. L says I remember streaming went there and they were told they don't know. I remember that very well. Thank you, L. Appreciate that. And thank you, Paula, for being here. So, but the case was going as in this person that was found, they almost made it seem like when they brought her to the hospital, no one knew who in the hell she was. We had heard a name brought up of Nancy. We have heard an age about the same age as Nancy, but they never confirmed anything. They never said anything. They kept us in the loop, out of the loop. Why? Because they didn't want the people to know, right? I don't get why they couldn't. I get the HIPAA law, but why they couldn't say it. If they found somebody and they brought him in, they could have definitely gave him the name because it's public record, right? It's public record. You're not telling them what's wrong with them. That has more to deal with the HIPAA, telling somebody what's wrong with their health. But I'm talking about just to say there was a chopper, picked this person up. Lady was identified as such and such. She has, being taken to a nearby hospital. They could have said that. They could have clarified all this noise, and they didn't. They didn't clarify nothing. They didn't want to clarify nothing. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because when I Googled it, I wanted to know who was this lady because I had never did a dive on this lady. So the whole premise of today was going to be just on that lady. But then when I Googled it, well, hell, there wasn't nothing to Google about it. There was nothing there. They didn't give us a name. They didn't give us a name. I couldn't Google the name because I didn't know the name. So the idea is, for me, it was frustrating because that's where I wanted to go. That was this topic was going to be about that missing lady. Find out more information about her, where she lived, where she was, where was she from? We didn't have any information and they wouldn't give it to the people. Okay, you follow me? So it almost made me feel like, could it have been Nancy? Is it very possible that it was Nancy? And I would say, yeah, it is very possible. A lot of you guys would always ask me a lot of times, you'd say, DD, do you think that they would hold back like saying that they had found her because of the fact that they're trying to locate the perps or trying to make sense of the perps who did it? And the more I think about that question, the more I think they would do anything they had to do to protect her. If it was her, they would do anything they had to do to protect her. The problem becomes is they can't just go out there and search everywhere because people are looking for somebody that is not out there. If in fact that was her. Fan, if that was my mom or a friend at the hospital, get together later when you hear about all the rumors of NG Come forward and clear it up. What would that hurt? No doubt. No doubt about it, fam. Well said. L, and would be why they turned search teams away. Very, very true. So I started thinking about this. This is why I wanted to do this thing on this lady, because I wanted to find out more about her. Where was she from? Who was she related to? Where did she live? What happened to her? Was she abducted? Was she just someone who tried to, I don't know, run a marathon in the desert? I didn't know anything about her, so I thought, man, we're going to do a deep dive on her. But when I started Googling her, they wouldn't give you any information about her. So I couldn't get anything from it. That's why I started looking at other cases as well. But now saying that, I do believe they are being quiet because the more they're quiet, the more they keep the people on their heels, right? The more they don't give information out, the more people are sitting back going, it could be, it couldn't be. And it keeps everything, it's like a guessing game. Yes, April, Marianne, that could be an option. That could be an option. So the whole idea, Cat Lady, good morning, Cat Lady. Good to have you. Good to have you. So it could be a lot of things like that, that they're wanting to keep everybody off keel because if people start putting things together, it's going to make their job harder for the perp to make those mistakes, if you can follow what I'm saying. Al says, yeah, if she was in danger and if everyone's talking about it still, maybe Savannah hiring the PI could just be a huge cover up because they have to continue with the narrative. Very possible. Very possible. You can't put anything past this. Al, good morning, Cat Lady. So the idea is that we're not going to know because they're not telling us, because that's what I wanted to do. That's the whole topic was going to be that lady. But yet we don't even have a freaking name. And then when I read you that information from the hospital, they were like, we don't know anybody by anybody that came in through a helicopter. Maybe the report of a woman in a helicopter to the hospital is incorrect and never happened. But that's the whole point. Yes, very possible. Well said, Paula. It's very possible this was all just a facade. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it is possible. If you're trying to protect somebody, man, I think people would do very crazy things, even in the law enforcement realm, to go ahead and think they're doing the right thing when in reality, all they're doing is confusing everybody. L1, good morning. Dee Dee, Marianne would like to know if we could go over cases in the morning and Nancy in the evening. We could do that. Yes, we'll start that tomorrow. Absolutely. If you want to do that, we can do that. We'll give Nancy's time in the evening from now on, but I'm going to finish up with this. We'll give Nancy's in the evening, and we'll talk about a new one in the morning. That sounds good, Marianne. Good, good. That sounds good, April. No problem, Marianne. That sounds like a good plan. Because there's not a whole lot out there right now about Nancy. That's why I was trying to go elsewhere. Okay, so here you go. So KB said, I saw the car flight footage, then it disappeared from the news. KB, that's why we fight we fight for transparency. Absolutely, KB. And that's why they know people are on this case. So it's almost like they're just keeping you guessing. It's that guessing game. It's wanting you all just, holding you back, holding you back, holding you back, you know? And it doesn't do any justice because the facts never come out. And then people just speculate. And then when people speculate, well, hell, you got 101 theories out there that probably don't make any sense whatsoever, in my opinion. But so anyway, so the lady is not giving her name. They don't know who it is. They said it's somebody, I mean, of a similar age. Okay. Somebody, like I said, asked me, could they do this to not tell the people? I think they can. I think they can if it's to protect that individual. Now, that's probably why they didn't want Cajun Navy to come in and search, because they already knew where she was at, or because they knew she wasn't out there. So they're going on a false pretense. They're looking for something that doesn't exist out there. It is possible. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying it is possible. And you got to look at all those nuances. Okay, you got to look at all that stuff because if not, on one hand, you're going, well, she's got to be out there. And on the other hand, you're going, do you really know she's out there? Maybe they did find her. Maybe she was that lady on that helicopter that they're trying not to tell anybody about. Because that's public record. If someone gets transported, that's public record. They're not going to tell you what medicines they're on. They're not going to tell you, what they're dealing with because that's under HIPAA. But public record from point A to point B, that's public record. So they had no reason not to say, hey, this lady was found so and so at such and such time, was located by the Pima County Sheriff's Office. They had met a flight or to the hospital to get her some help. Stand by for further information. And then they don't get that further information. Otherwise, turning search teams away don't make sense. I feel like they have to know something, right? Like they know something we don't know. April, okay, beginning tomorrow morning, other cases will be covered at 9 a.m. Nancy's case will be covered at 5 p.m. Sounds great to me, everybody. I like that. I like that. KB, let's ask 857 if there was a dispatch audio from that day. Well, someone already said there was a dispatch audio. Who was the one who just said earlier there was a dispatch audio? And thanks, Marion, for that suggestion. Appreciate that, Marion. No doubt. Thank you, Al, for letting me know. Appreciate that. There was somebody that said that they heard the radio traffic that there was a dispatch on that. Didi, was Nanos really working on a reality show? Can they hide the truth if they're filming something for TV? No, they can't. They can't hide it for that purpose. Could they hide it to protect her? Yes, they can. They can hide things to protect the victim. Absolutely, they can do things, but not nothing like that that would be dealing with filming a reality show. And I just watched a little bit of that yesterday. But yes, to answer your question, Song, yes, Nano working on a reality show, yes. And can they hide the truth by that? No, no, they can't hide the truth by that. I mean, the only thing they can say is not give you the information that they know you want to know, that we want to know. That's how they hide that. They don't tell you who was the lady that was picked up on the life flight. They don't tell you, even though it's public record. And if she has nothing to do with the Nancy Guthrie case, think like this. If she has nothing to do with the Nancy Guthrie case, right? Then what does it have to do with the Nancy Guthrie case? Why not just tell the people we had, Susan Shelley was taken in the hospital and was in, taken, she was found in the desert and blah, 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 right? Why not just say that? Because they said she has nothing to do with the Guthrie case. Okay, well then just say who it is. Who you picked it up? Who did you pick up? You know what I mean? You very welcome, Song. KB, maybe they didn't want to alert the perp for fear of putting the family in further danger. And that's a very good point, KB. Very good point. Well said. April, good point, K. K, their silence speaks volume. Remember, I used to tell you guys, I always told you guys, it's not always what you hear, it's what you don't hear. It's not always what you see, it's what you don't see. I got to get my extension cord. Give me a second. I'm going to pull it right quick. All right, everybody, I'm back. I am back. Man, that battery just went. All right. All right. We got juice. Not dead juice. We got juice. All right. So, so the idea that they're not telling us anything about it doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense because the reality is that it has nothing to do with the case. So they said themselves it had nothing to do with the case of Nancy Guthrie. So if it doesn't have anything to do with the case, then why not just tell the people who it was? Right? Does that make sense? Tell the people who it was. You're not, like I said, you're not telling them. It's like if somebody gets in a car accident, right? It's like if somebody gets in a car accident, right? They get in a car accident. They'll tell you if they're overage. They'll say driver 25 was in an accident at such and such place, yada, yada, yada. They'll tell you that. No different than here. And Paul, I understand HIPAA. I totally get what you're saying with HIPAA, but you're not asking for any health issues. You're asking it was a accident that happened on the public. No different than possibly in the desert. This person was obviously put there for some reason or went there for some reason. You know, you're not asking for any health medical questions. You're not even asking. They're just giving you who the person was. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a part of HIPAA. It could be. I could be wrong. I'm not in the medical field. I could be wrong, but I've always heard when there was people that were taken to hospitals, they would always tell you who they were, especially if they were in accidents, because they want you to know who it was. Unless they were underage, then they couldn't tell you if they were underage. But you may be right, Paula. You may be right. I'm not in the hospital field, so yeah, you may be right. Rocket, Trump stated in the beginning he thought he that it would be resolved quickly. What did they know? Apparently nothing because it hasn't been resolved. They didn't know a damn thing. L, we are talking about another lady that was found and transported to the hospital around the same time Nancy was taken shortly after she went missing. That is correct, L. Kat, we are talking about the lady that was life flighted to the hospital when Nancy went missing. That is correct. KB, can we get care flight logs? I don't know about that one. I think you should be able to. It's all public record. They work for the public. They don't work for themselves. You know what I mean? It's a public. You should be able to get that. You just won't get any personal detail information from the patient or the person being transported because of the HIPAA law. Paula says the hospital staff knows but cannot. That is correct. That is correct. Now that's correct. But from point A to point B, from them getting there, they should have been able to say who it was, I would think. But you're probably right, Paula. You're probably right. You're more probably in tune with the medical field than I am. No doubt about it. No, but you are honestly, I'm saying that in kind just. You're probably right. You're probably exactly right, in all honesty. I don't know because I'm not in that field. I don't know. I'm just going from law enforcement. When we would do an accident and someone was going to the hospital, they would see it in the paper or even in the call logs. They would see if they were over the age of 18, you would see such and such was in an accident, and they would literally, and then you would see it in the news or you would see it in the paper the next day. I don't know how they do it nowadays. I know the HIPAA law is changed a lot of things, but we could not say like we could say, yeah, it looks like alcohol was involved. It appears alcohol or drugs were involved. You could say that, but my point is, and I don't want to harp on that too much because it's really a moot point. April, thank you. So are you. Appreciate you. So the idea that literally Um, they can't say. Maybe they can't. But that's what's causing a lot of confusion with a lot of people. That's the moral of the story. That's what's causing us to really be out there not understanding what's happening. And I think they take it to the extreme. You know what I mean? They go to the extreme where they don't want to tell you anything. And then they hide behind these rules that they don't want to say anything. But you're right. Hell, things have changed so much. HIPAA laws getting more strict with time, no doubt. That's what I'm saying. It's been a while since I've been in law enforcement, so it very well be. Paula may be totally right. I mean, literally. I think Paula is right. Only family can release that info. I've worked in healthcare for 20 years. Like I said, Paula, you know the stuff. You would know it more than me because I was in law enforcement. I wasn't in that neck of the woods, in that profession. And I appreciate all your information. Thank you. So the idea that they're not going to probably tell us that, well, maybe it is because of HIPAA. But the idea that we're not going to know, I mean, it just makes everything really cloudy and people kind of grasp for straws to try to figure out what happened to Nancy. Cat to fix Nano F up maybe and find the right evidence, right? No doubt about it. Song, I wish we could fast forward to the answers. No doubt. I agree 110%, Song. So that's why we're not hearing nothing. That was my whole purpose. I wanted to literally find who this lady was and kind of do a little dive in there. But the idea that Nancy is still gone, what is it now, 119 days? The idea that she is still gone is just ridiculous. I mean, I do think that this definitely is a kidnapping gone wrong, no doubt about it. The wrench theory that I talked about yesterday, that's very plausible. That's very plausible. And you guys heard that yesterday, the wrench theory. I mean, it is very plausible that that fits in the narrative because, when they come in there, they're not coming in there to try to hack your passwords and your codes and try to hack cryptocurrency and all this stuff. They're going there to get that information. They're going to get that information ASAP. Song says very possible. Paula, thank you for your expert input in 20 years. Much appreciated. Absolutely, Paula. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. L, please don't forget to hit the stream, everybody. So the wrench theory, if you think about the wrench theory now, understanding everything that's going on, I mean, think about that. You're talking about literally using force to get someone to give you the information you want, whether it's your crypto coin currency, passwords, whether it's your life savings that you have in your safe, whether it's your valuables. They're there to get your stuff, right? And so the method of the wrench theory is they're using that as a way of we'll just beat it out of you, so to speak, for a better lack of words. And that's what it is. That's really what it is. It's like a playbook from the mob, you know. It's a playbook from the mob. Fear, power, torture, and get what you want. And I think that's very possible that could have happened. And I've heard a lot of law enforcement brothers and sisters of mine, and a lot of people in this field that have said it really does fit that narrative. Now, the only thing that really makes that difficult is that usually on a wrench theory, okay, if they're going to go with that, usually they go to the person who has the money. So in this case, they would have done this to Savannah because she has the money, she got the password, she's got the codes. They want it, they can get it from her, right? They normally don't go to that second or third party unless they start having problems where they can't get it and stuff starts going wrong. If the 84-year-old woman says, go pound sand, son, I'm not giving you nothing, then next thing you know, kapow, you can go pow all you want. I'm not giving you no information. You follow me? They it gets to a point where you're either gonna unalive that person or you're gonna accidentally unalive that person. My mom is a retired detective for Los Angeles. She's 88. She says this case is full of lies and false facts, but has no idea what happened. Very true. I agree with her. There's a lot of deception here. There's a lot of untruths. And the problem is that we're supposed to decipher not just through the case, but through all the BS. That's very difficult, everybody. They could have yelled instructions at her, but she couldn't hear. Very possible. Didn't have her hearing aids on. And they thought she was uncooperative. That is a very good point. I never thought about that, but you're right. That is a very good point. Very good point. So the idea that they're going to hurt her to get the information, they, remember that letter that one person who was a ransom letter that they wrote when they said, uh, "We're sorry, we didn't know that her heart was that weak." You remember that? There was a message sent that said, "We're sorry, we did not know that her heart was that weak." Well, somebody obviously, that wasn't written out of just like writing it. That was somebody who had buyer's remorse, like, why did we do this? It wasn't supposed to be like this. Doesn't that sound like that to you? Fan, look at all these folks not speaking on things happening in Nancy's case. Kathy Lee, church folks, nanos, gang friends, ass is on 4 days a week, family, etc. They want this to go away from day one. That's a very good point, fan. Very good point. I can imagine she would fight back too because she seemed very outspoken from what I have read. No doubt about it. Fan, I agree. KB. KB says they act like that in the Hamptons. They act like they're in the Hamptons, right? Song. We don't understand what she was taking. This makes us all feel vulnerable. No doubt about it. Well said. April, I still can't get past the 9-second Bitcoin call to T. I can't either. That's why he is literally towards the top of my list. Not at the top, but towards the top. Because I can't make sense of that. I know that doesn't happen by coincidence. That doesn't happen because someone just went and looked at online. I think there's a bigger connection than that, in my opinion. Now, as far as the thing with Nancy, the wrench theory is very probable because the more I examined that wrench theory, the more I started realizing, wow. Paula says, I agree, April. The more I examined that, I was really like taken back, like, wow, like this really does make sense. I mean, think about it. L, yes, doesn't make sense at all, in my opinion. Think about this for a minute. You're probably not dealing with the smartest people in the world. Let's just say, I've always said I'm not impressed with these people are high tech. They know what they're doing. They got everything covered. They're spot on. I don't buy that one bit. Yeah, they may have not been caught yet, but you know what? It's not over yet either. They're going to be running for the rest of their lives or until they get caught. That's a fact. So here's the deal. The idea that they would have done this would fit my narrative as to they weren't very smart, because how hard is it to take some type of tool or some type of object and beat a person to give you to what they want? You obviously don't have no communication skills, so you're not going to convince them that it's to their best interest, right? So beat it out of them. That's a bully mentality. That's not a very smart mentality. That's a bully mentality. J-Bug, Savannah Guthrie's 40 million bet worth doesn't include her husband's net worth. There's much more money in their disposal. I think I heard somewhere yesterday, J-Bug, that it was like up to 55 million. It was like 40 from her and like 15 from him or something to that effect. It's pretty damn close. Well said. Rock. I'm sticking with the Three Stooges tattoo girl. Very possible. That's a good one, Rock. No doubt about it. Song says, what can a renter get when everything is in a trust? Well, a trust is different. You know, a trust is different. They may not know that everything she had within a trust. That's true. But, you know, if they believe she had, or if they got word that she had some crypto, or they knew that Savannah had some crypto, they could use that as leverage to get that login information on crypto. We know it's very hard to detect. We know it's very hard to go ahead and figure out where it went to, right? When you're going around. So they could have been to the point where they just wanted the passwords. If in fact that was it, they could have wanted the. They could have been told she had $50,000 or plus in her safe. It's not uncommon for older people who lived through the Depression to know what it's like that banks go under. It's not uncommon for them to go ahead and literally, and I do mean literally, to put money in their safe, card cash. Rock, thumbs up by song. Fanflower, The Circle. Lots of lies, lots of covering up, lots of mess ups, botching, all of these things together. Mass equals mass confusion, and these things align and what making this case such a mess. I do agree with that. I agree, L, for sure. April, L, unless a family member is involved in the wrenching. That is very true. And you guys know where I think that's at. No doubt about it. Doesn't make them intelligent people, in my opinion. Just things line up right to the people. That's exactly well said, L. Well said. Always hide your valuables in open. April, that's a good point. So the idea that they could have used this wrench theory is very probable. Very probable. I mean, it's not outside that box. I mean, it's really like, yeah. Paula says yes, 100%, 1985. So with saying that, you would have to put that in the category that it's a possibility. It may not be your first thing that you're thinking of, but you can't throw that off the table because, hey, look, if it's just a group of knuckleheads, it's easy to go in there and try to intimidate an 84-year-old woman to get what you want from them, right? It's pretty easy. So they thought until it went wrong, and then this person ended up becoming unalive. That's the whole point. Bitcoin wrenching. Who gets the call? Laughing out. My head spins. Song. I wonder if Nancy had a computer. Yeah, that would be interesting. The only, I don't know. We know she had a phone, and that's about as close that we know of. But yeah, I mean, the lady had a lot of pains. I highly doubt she was on her phone 24/7 like the rest of America. I highly doubt that she had all this technical savvy. She had some, obviously, but I don't think that was her role. I think she probably just had her phone was her main focus. You know, I don't think she was playing in the stock market at any time. Just an opinion. Paula, oh, in my opinion, it was a murder. It was a unaliving stage as a kidnapping. Well, let's talk about that, Paula. So it was a unaliving stage as a kidnapping. Okay. If it was an unaliving, why would they take the body? If it was an unaliving, let's go with that theory. Now I'm glad you brought it up. Let's go with that theory. If it was an unaliving, why do you take the body? Why do you even touch the body? Why do you even handle the body? Why do you not take nothing from this individual? Nothing was reported missing that they knew of. Page with the heart. Nothing was taken. So how would it be? Why would you unalive somebody and take the body? Yeah, no doubt about it, in my opinion. She left alive, and somehow, in that midst of leaving alive out that front door, something went wrong. She might have screamed. She might have screamed very loud, and one of them said, "Shut up," and went pow and hit her. And another one maybe hit her in the gut, made her double over, started coughing up blood, and that was all she wrote. At that point, from all the stress and everything that happened from the morning to then to that point, it's very possible she could have just literally, became unalive. I think she left alive. Yep, I think so. Wrench or no wrench, thinking it's a still a cover up. So sad, Justin for Nancy, no doubt. Paula, it would look like T did it if she was found in the home unalive. Well, if he's smart, if any one of them yahoos are smart and they unalive her in her sleep, they walk up to her, kapow, kapow, pew pew. It's done. It's done. Pew pew, done. Over. Leave. Nothing's there is going to connect you if you're really like let's just say the guy at the porch. Let's say the guy at the porch was dressed that way and he came into that house and she was sleeping, okay? And he went pow, pow. It's over. They leave and they're done. They did what they wanted to do, right? They could look for something if they wanted to, but if it was just about the unaliving, that wouldn't make any sense to take the body and get caught with the body. Because that's the whole point. If you're going to take someone out, you're taking them out. You don't give a rat's butt about the body. They're done. You've done what you wanted to do, right? So you're not going to take the body because you may get caught with that body. Then you just screwed yourself over. And no one's going to think that it's T. Hell, he was the, what is it? The masterful, mindful, the manifester, whatever, you know. No one's going to think it's him. They're going to think, oh, somebody just is out here randomly unaliving people. Okay, in case there was no strange DNA on the body which would implicate family member. Well, the only why if you're going there to unalive her, right, KB? If you're going there to unalive her, why would you even have your hands around her? Why would you even be close to her? Why wouldn't you just walk up to her and pew pew and it's done? If that's the whole purpose is to unalive her, why not just pew pew and go? Leave. I mean, think about it. Why not just do the easiest thing? Pew pew and leave. You went there, you dropped her off, she went inside, she went in her house, she fell asleep. You don't have to stare at her eyes. You go in there, you're wearing a mask, you're covered up, pew pew, done. Why would you need to take her? You didn't touch her. Your fingerprints are in the house because you always take care of her. You're the manifester. You're the caretaker. You're part of it. Jay, in my opinion, if the crime is connected to real organized crime, a high level Nancy will never be found. If the kidnapping was done by copycats or wannabes, she may very well be found. That's a very good thought, J Bug. No doubt about it. Rock, the body reveals the time of death. Got to take her if she died that night before. Yeah, but even if they know when she died, even if they know when she became unalive, what does it matter if the purpose is just to unalive her? You know what I mean? What is the purpose? That's the question. What is the purpose to unalive her if you're just going to take her body? Now, if you're going to sexually assault her and then you're going to unalive her, well, then, yeah, you may want to take the body or set the house on fire or whatever the case may be because you want to destroy any evidence possible, right? But if you're really, truly just going to unalive her, why would you take the body? Page K bullseye. K, no strange DNA would be suspect. I don't know. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Though usually the modus operandi of a unaliver is just that. Their whole purpose, they love the enjoyment, they love that thrill. It's a rush that they get seeing someone unalive. Pew pew, it's over. Ah, I got my thrill for the day. Burglary, shit, they could have took the whole house and she would have never known it because she was asleep. She had no hearing aids, she couldn't hear, So we know it wasn't that. So you got to go to the most logical thing there possibly is. And if you're going to cover this up, well, why cover it up? What's the gain? I mean, why cover her unalive? Pow pow. Now I'm going to open the back doors and I'm going to make it look like what? Makes no sense. That's why that theory really truly is not even in the play. I mean that not even talked about in law enforcement realms, to be honest. Jay, good observation in my opinion. I like it. Paige, wow, Rock, so true. L Rock, yes, agree. A lot of really good theories in here today, no doubt about it. Paige, and guest question, great questions. L, absolutely, Paige. Great critical thinking. Paige, thank you, Chad. Paige, 1985. Paula, Porsche guy was not there to harm her. She was already unalived. He was there for removal. That's a good possibility. That is a very good possibility. He was just there as to help carry it out. That's true. I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. But I don't think that the plan was to go ahead and unalive her. I really don't. That would have made all the things of thinking you're going to get money. It would have just combobulated everything. Everything your goal was. Everything your goal was. Because once again, if you're going to unalive her, you don't need any help from anybody. You just go do it yourself. You're not taking her, you're not carrying her, you're not touching her, you're just unaliving her. So you don't need anybody else that would know what you did but you. You wouldn't have anybody else with you but you. Because the only other person that would know would be the person that could be the one to tell on you. So therefore, you just don't do it. Cat lady, what if it was a hired hit but not to unalive her? That's possible. That's possible. If it was someone that was supposed to go in there, then you're looking at more like the wrench theory. You're looking more of the well, the fact of the matter is you don't know what if the idea is that what if it wasn't to unalive her, well then what was the purpose? Was it was it to get the money? Was it to get her passwords? Was it the wrench theory? Was it the kidnapping theory? Was it the couldn't have been the burglary because you would have just broke in when she wasn't there. Burglars normally don't break in when there's a person in the house. And they're casing that joint, so they're gonna know if there's someone there or not. That's usually what a burglary does. So once again, you get back to if they were going to take her, what was the point? If she became unalive, yes, that would mean that the porch guy, it was always in the plan to take her, which probably means it was never meant to unalive her. When she became unalive, everything just went to shit. That means there was probably a struggle. She did not want to comply. She did not want to go ahead and give anything up of what they wanted. And therefore, possibly by unintentionally, they unalived her by punching her, hitting her, internal bleeding. I mean, they've literally tested the blood outside that door, and they said it was oxidation or oxidization with things that only would come through the mouth, not the inner side. So she didn't get pew-pewed in the stomach or the arm because the oxidation of what it has comes from the mouth. They have already determined that by the blood splatter and the DNA of that or something to that effect. So you're not going to see that in that aspect. KB says, Paula, the cleaner. April, familiar DNA, in my opinion, would be dismissed from the house. Family, not right, but it happens. Very possible. Paula, it's your opinion. Yeah, it's a good opinion. No one's saying it's not a good opinion. It's a great opinion. That's what this chat's about, is opinions. It's a great opinion. I'm not trying, if you think I'm trying to tell you that it's not a good opinion, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you would have to just look at what fits the narrative. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Everybody, that's what we're trying to do, is figure out what is the narrative. Okay? Nothing was taken. So it wasn't a burglary. Nothing was taken. Nothing. Nothing was stolen. None of the family came back and said later, "Oh yeah, this is missing." And mom had 200,000 in her safe and it's gone. Nothing was missing. It wasn't a burglary. Okay, we're suspecting it was an unaliving. We really don't even know that, except because there's some blood on the front porch. Maybe she didn't unalive there. Maybe she unalived when she was being hauled in a car, in a blue car, and she was the woman that was hanging outside the window screaming for help. We just don't know. But that's a very good point. Yeah, was the oxygenated blood actually verified? No, I believe that was what was brought up with some of these blood splatter profilers and whatnot. And I don't think it was necessarily confirmed yet. I think the DNA hasn't come back yet, to be honest. So I don't think that necessarily is 100%. But according to some of these people who that's all they do, said that it's you could see by the size and by the shape and the bubbles and all that kind of stuff, there was oxidation in that blood, and that only would have came from the mouth. That's what they've said. Now, did they get a test back? Probably not. We haven't heard anything, and even if they did, they're probably not going to tell us, you know. But that's a good point. You got a good point. It was a true ransom. Why send letters to the media? Well, that's the thing that doesn't make sense either. That's the thing. You never send a ransom to the media. It's always contact with the family. And that's a very good point. Very, very good point, Paula. That's the only bug I have in this ransom. Why do that? Then I go back to, were they just that stupid? Were they just that dumb? You know, did they realize that there was no way they could show a proof of life because she was already unalive? So they thought, well, maybe we can just try to, we'll try to make it to where we're not talking to the family, but we'll get the word out somehow just so we can get something for her. Because if not, it was off or not, and if they get caught, we're looking at prison time. It's so many things could be going on in that mind, in all honesty. But that's a very good point, Paula. That's the only thing that I see that's getting me to think, making that going with that wrench theory because of that reason. Because they don't want to get they don't want to get media or law enforcement involved. So that was an awkward thing in there, no doubt about it. 100%. Good point. I'll see you later. I have to be on set in a bit. Have a great morning. You got it, Song. Thank you for being here. Al, take care. Song, love it. Have a great day. Paige, thank you. Talk to you later, Song. April, bye, Song. Have a great day. Hit like and subscribe and share. Everybody, do me that favor. Paula, if she was alive walking out the front door, why are there no footprints in blood? I don't know. I don't know if she's alive or not. Maybe she was carried. Maybe maybe they carried her, and her head was, half of her body's laying in the back. Maybe it's, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I can't tell you exactly what happened because I'm not there. But if you're asking why, if she was alive, why was she walking out? Probably because she was over the shoulder. Her head's going to be more down by the waist. That's pretty damn close enough. If she was coughing up blood, I mean, it's possible. I don't think none of us have the actual facts. None of us have it. We may be right on, but we don't have it. And the reality is literally the reality is that all of these are just opinions and ideas and thoughts. So yeah, no one's knocking anybody's down. I'm just trying to make sense of why. But you're right. You're right. April, 183,000 subscribers. Let's get it to 2,000. L, will we even know if the DNA comes back? I mean, it doesn't look like they're giving any information to anybody, right? So I'm not even sure. We're not going to hear anything until the headlines read suspect caught in the kidnapping or taking or whatever of Nancy Guthrie. LA, who keeps saying it's all back and we will probably not be told this opinion. I mean, that's what I would see happen. Fan says Nanos came back with that front door DNA very quick one day. Yeah, he did, really. He really did. No doubt about it, fan. Paige, wow, fan. You are exactly right. So what the how did that happen so fast? Fan, Crazy Hills. There it is. Waiting for the Crazy Hills. T-Gam's in the house. Good to have you, T-Gam. Paige, maybe no one stepped in the blood, Paula. L, all that's happening now is streamers being pushed out. True. Paige, T-Gam, Paige. So that's the one thing that we look at. That's the one thing we look at. That's the one thing we're seeing. Hello, Tegan, Paula, Lisa. That's why I think she wasn't alive and was carried out. It's very possible. It is very possible. Very possible, Paula. It's very, very possible. Did they panic? Did it go wrong? Did something go wrong? Well, obviously, I don't think they intended it to take her out. I think that happened. I honestly believe that happened by accident. I don't know that to be factual, but it would make sense that they did not want her to end up literally becoming unalive, in my opinion. Maybe so, Rock, in my opinion. Yes, Paula, thank you so much for explaining. Absolutely. Great, great opinions, no doubt. We all have great opinions. Tegan, hello there, Paige. April, why leave the blood behind if a perp that would be the last thing to leave behind, I would think. Honestly, I just think there was a lot of confusion going on when all this happened. I think there was everybody was running on the fly. The main plan of whatever their plan was didn't go the way they planned, and they had to run on the fly. In all honesty, Saucy's in the house. April probably didn't even know it happened when this happened. That's very true too. I mean, there's so many different theories and ideas, and so many different things that could have took place. I only question for my own clarification ever, chat. No, that's a very good question. That is a very good question. That's a very good point. I mean, the idea is that, like I said, none of us know. You know, all I can tell you is in law enforcement, what these things would look like is because you have trained over those things of happening. What would be the cause of a kidnapping for ransom? What would be the main goal? What would be the cause for a burglary? What would be the cause for unaliving? What would be the cause for all these different scenarios? You study them, you see the percentages, you look at how things would unfold. So I'm just giving you what a law enforcement, why law enforcement would think like that. But I don't know. We don't. None of us have the exact thing of what happened, in all honesty. Paige, you help me smarter chat. True, Saucy, says April. Paige and dog. Thank you, Saucy. I feel like you, Paige, we all want some clarification. That's a fact. That's a fact. And in this department, God Lee, it's like pulling teeth. Literally like pulling teeth. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense everything that has happened. But there's so many people that look like they are a person who would fit what happened to her. Shout out, says Paige. The idea of everything that happened the way it did, the doors being open in the back. I mean, I don't understand how anybody could like with what we got, how could anybody be able to figure this out? It's almost like you're missing the most crucial points, and we don't have them. We don't have that one little piece that would literally be the exact reason why something took place. We don't have that. And because of that, that's why it's hard for us to wrap around our head around it. So we go with, our theories and ideas like everybody else. But the idea is that you try to find the closest possible narrative because usually you just go where it leads you. It's when you start really thinking like it's something out of ordinary is when you find yourself making a mistake. Hundreds of people are just like us doing their own. Absolutely, absolutely, without a doubt. Once again, there's no one knows. Hell, for all we know, FBI and Pima County don't even know. I mean, let's be honest. For all we know, the FBI and Pima County, they don't even know. Nancy is love, no doubt. Fan, what does everyone think? Will we find out or not? I think we're gonna find out. I think it's gonna be this case is gonna be completed, and they're gonna find the perp who did this or perp who did this. In my opinion, Saucy says, believe it is like you're seeing. We may know what is right in front of us, that we are truly missing it. You're exactly right, Saucy. It could be staring us right in the eyes, and we're not seeing it because we don't have that one little missing piece. You know, I mean, wouldn't you like to know exactly what was on the search warrant for Luke Daly? Wouldn't you like to know what plea bargain and why they gave to KD? Wouldn't you like to really know what that 9-second phone call was from DC to T or C? Wouldn't you really like to know if they had videos on the inside? The videos that Nancy had, the cameras inside the house. Wouldn't you like to know what they found on those? Hey, no fan, I don't know anymore. J Bug, I always go back to the fetish friend group who have ties to two members of the family. Yes, that's true. Very true. Paige, 1 minute I think an arrest is imminent, and the next minute I think we'll never be solved back at back and forth now. Tegan, I think they are doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and it will take a long time. But one day we will suddenly see them swoop in and make a multiple arrest. Very possible. Paige, yes, Jay, very true. Paige, my thoughts have changed many times now. So much involved in this. Fan with the hearts, Paige with the very true. Well said. MS Mandy, you support our thoughts, Devil Dog. We love this channel. Thank you, MS Mandy. I appreciate that. Follow the facts with logic thinking. There's they've solved the case and are still investigating. Rick Bullseye says Paige. Rock Bullseye says Paige. I mean, that's really what's happened. It's just so hard to try to. Thank you for being here, MS Mandy says L. Paige Rock 100% L. I agree, Rock. Gathering evidence says L. That's all we can really do because we're not going to get that one big super, like it's like finding that $20 bill laying on the middle of the street. We're just not going to get that. It's going to have to be something that literally is big, big news. I'm not sure there's any really big, big news left other than the guy's been caught. You know what I mean? You know, the DNA. I'm not sure that's even going to stir up they've caught him because of the DNA. Spirits in the house. I'm just hoping it gets solved sooner than later. Good morning, all. Good morning, Spirit. Great to have you. So yeah, I mean it's just hard to see. But that's what you got to do. When you're in law enforcement, you can't give up. You cannot give up. You got to still keep pounding the pavement. You got to still try to think outside the box. You got to still try to figure it out. Tegan, I think they have to work a lot harder because the crime scene was released early and anything found after that will be non-reliable when it goes to court. That is a fact. That is a fact. A lot of stuff will not be admissible. Paige, agree, Tegan. I mean, it's just sad to see. J Bug, my prayers is that the FBI is building the case against multiple perps, and we will wake up one day soon to a big press conference. That would be nice, J Bug, and I could see that happening at some point, no doubt. Well said. Well said. Well said. Well, that's what we're looking at. I mean, you can only go with what you get, man. Rock says with the Stooges under the house arrest, they may have time to wait for the DNA results, right? That's true too, no doubt about it. That is very true. Very, very true. Spirit, hi Paige. I'm late this morning, had yard work to do before it gets hot. Any press conferences? Interesting. Well, that's exactly what we're trying to figure out. What exactly could have happened? What fits the narrative? And sometimes you just have to go with what you're seeing because you can't find anything else. I mean, look at all the people that we have looked at, and we all have our opinions as to who they are. They all fit the bill. Every one of them fit the bill. We'll come up, wake up one morning, and we'll find out that they all had something to do with something. Hell, hello, spirit. You know what I mean? Wake up one morning and you find out everybody we talked about had some role in it. I think that's crazy, but I'm just saying, the idea. Spirit, agree with everyone opinions in here, no doubt. Very smart chat, everybody. Love the chat. Love the people in here. Guys are amazing. Copy that, DD says rock. Hello, L says spirit. You know what I want to know too? I want to know what exactly, I would love to know what exactly, if there was any blood found in the house. Please don't forget to like and stream to subscribe if you haven't. L, have a great day, Norma. I would love to know if they really went ahead and found blood inside that house. I would like to know what Savannah really meant when she says, Mommy was begging for her life. I really want to know, was she really begging and how did she find out that? Thank you, 1985. You got it, Norma. Fanflower, Saucy, me too. I mean, think about that. I would like to know exactly when Savannah said that they dragged her out of her bed, yanked her out of her bed, or dragged her out of her bed. I would like to know, did they show her a video of that? How did she get that in her head that that's what happened? I mean, she could have thought that's what happened, but you know what I mean? You know, it's difficult to try to put yourself in those shoes. Like, okay, they say this. How could I see this happening? You know what I mean? And that's what you have to do. You have to put yourself in that situation and say, what exactly happened? I would like to know about blood too. Savannah is being cryptic in what she says. Yeah, no, you're right about that. No doubt about it. Because all the things that I've been saying about what I want to know, those are nuggets, folks. Those are nuggets. Those are things that would literally tip the scale one way or the other, in my opinion. Rock, interior, Nana, cam video of everything. Absolutely. L, thank you. Thank you, Norma. Norma, hello, devil, dog, and everyone. Cynthia's in the house. Good to have you, Cynthia. Yeah, that would be literally my take. That would be my take. What is it? What is it? What did they say? You know, nanos. Why was he trying to give the house back so early? Why was he intervening in that? Growski says hi, Cynthia. Cynthia, thanks. Why would nanos want to give the house back so fast before they even really finish processing? Hello, Cynthia says L. Growski, good morning. Good morning, Norma. Cynthia, hey, Growski. It just makes no sense, you know? Hey, Gronsky says, Cynthia, trying to understand the logic. Do I think that this whole thing is going to get solved? I do. I really do. I do think it's going to get solved. I don't know when it's going to get solved, but it's going to get solved. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. It's going to get solved because there's like nothing left except what they find. And think about it. Let's just say Cynthia says, hey, L, 1985. Let's just say, for all sake of purposes, that the hair follicle comes back and it's nothing. They can't put it on anybody. Let's say that they come back and say that blood spatter, yeah, that's from Nancy, and but that's it. Now we're back to square one with nothing. I am very plus about a conclusion to this case. I agree with you, Gronsky. But think about that for a minute. All of a sudden they go, there's nothing. We don't have anything on the DNA. We don't have anything here. Do you think they have the? I think they have the time stamps. from the garage door and Tommaso pulling up. Malpractice, say KB, right? 110%, no doubt about it. Cynthia, keep grinding, no doubt, no doubt. But you know what I'm saying? I would hope that, I would hope literally that they would find something. Saucy, we need Abby from NCIS to get on it. Interesting, yeah, no doubt. I love NCIS. Maybe solve, but don't have enough evidence to arrest. That's what I'm thinking. Hell, that's what I'm thinking. They have some people that they know they can put in those right positions, but the reality is that they can't tie it. You know, they know it's them, they just can't tie it. They're trying to figure how to tie all these loose ends, and that's what they're having problems with. Fanflowers, someone of the group told him to open it up and make it go away. Lots of money makes people do things. That is true. KB, building a solid case, hopefully. Man, you hope so. I know I hope so. But that's the thing, you know, they're not really like they're not really getting information. It doesn't appear they're getting information from the people. It's like they want to do it themselves. Groundsky, we just need that missing piece. That's all it is. All it is one missing piece. What is that damn missing piece? If one person would just come forward and give one statement, oh my God, this thing could just break right open. Cynthia, agreed. Click that like, everybody. Click that like. Do me that favor. Click the like, hit the heart. And just for the record, you can all send anything, any emojis. If you're able to send them, YouTube will adjust them. So we're not completely like fixed, but we are able to just function because we are done. It just takes time for them to go ahead and get everything else done. So we are done. So if you want to send anything, help out, that's all on you. Nothing is required. Extreme Bay 8, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. You can send there. You can send just a chat if you want, super chat, whatever you want. It's not necessary. Greatly appreciated. We need the whole puzzle, fan says. I agree 110%. No doubt. We need to get that puzzle somehow. I think we're on the right track, honestly. I really do believe we have, a lot of ideas. I think we have a lot of probable reasoning why things would have gone a certain way. There's my email if you need to send anything. Woo, it's windy. It's beautiful out here. My Lord. Saucy says, I think collectively we are sitting on it or so close. Our thoughts of Oh, I agree, Saucy. No doubt about it. 110%. 110%. No doubt. Spirit, I think we're missing a piece. Who benefits from her disappearance? Like you said, follow the money. Well, that's the thing. There's so many people there that need the money. You could say A&T need the money. You could say LD for his court reasons need the money. LD needs the money to pay off their court fines. Groundsky, I am so excited to see this channel grow. It is growing, Groundsky. We are growing. Make no mistake, everybody. We are growing. We are growing literally and quickly. It's just trying to go ahead and keep growing to the point where we get to where we're really at that pinnacle. And we'll get there. It'll take a little time. We'll get there. We'll get there. It's coming along perfectly, better than I anticipated, to be honest. It's great, Groundsky. Annie and Tommaso, they keep here constantly asking for money. Yeah, well, the well is dry now because she's no longer here. And here's the thing. I hear a lot of people say that they don't think that that T and C or A and T is involved. And I would love to see that they're not involved because nothing but hurt me inside to know that family could do this to family. You know. But in the same token, Cynthia. But in the same token, I ask myself, you know, I hear people say that they may not be involved, and they may not be. But I just can't not get that out of my head with DC calling them for that 9-second phone call, sending them the messages to both A and T. You know, how did they go from $6 million down to half a Bitcoin? How in the hell does that happen, Cynthia? Agreed. How does that happen? Think about it. You had control when she was alive. Hang on a second. I'm just getting a little, whew, it's getting a little a cramp in my thigh. But think about it for a minute. A and T, I don't know how they would literally function with the fact knowing what they did if they are involved. The amount of people of interest that we have is so big, and they all fit that narrative. Saucy, they are all up to their neck in all of this. That's what it seems like. Spirit agreed. Rock, half a Bitcoin is salary for one stooge. Think about it. Think about it. They went from 6 million to something, I don't know what it was, to like 2 million. And then it became to half a Bitcoin. Hey, we'll pick up the other half once you collect the body. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Could it have been that they went to that house because all they wanted was their quick fix? They needed 10 grand, and somebody said, well, Nancy over there, we know she's got a safe and she has money in that safe. All we need to do is get in there and we can take that 10 and we call it. Yeah, we'll just threaten her to give us that combination and we'll take that and gone and no one will ever know. Could it have been that? Or could it have been the fact that maybe they came in there because they knew she had money in the safe and they needed to get that money to pay back their drug dealers that they lost their drugs to from the police? Hell, laughing out loud, Rock. They're hiding. Half a Bitcoin is salary for one stooge. Cynthia, different perps. Miss Mandy, the well is dry. You make me laugh, Dee Dee. It is. It is so dry. Rod, gotta pay back the drug dealers they owe money to. They don't need millions of dollars. They really just needed 20, 30,000. And Nancy had about 100,000 in the safe. Supposedly. Let's just suppose that. I don't know that to be fact. I'm just throwing that number out there. Older people tend to have cash money in their safes because of the depression. We know that. So if somebody told them, look, my mother-in-law, I can't even say that because it gives it away. But suppose someone says, hey, what if I was to tell you that that lady that lives there has a safe and there's probably a good 80, 90,000 in cash there. You go get it, take your people in there, she'll give you that combination, even if you got to beat it out of her. And then get that combination, take it all. You bring me back half and you guys split the other half. Finder's fee. Finder's fee. And then you guys can go pay those drug dealers that you guys owe because they're pissed. They still want their money. If they were on her checking account they can have access to her money. And she finally said it. Yes, yes, very possible. That's true. Very well said, my friend. Very well said, fan. Growski, A and T have body language pointing towards guilt of something. Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. Spirit, true fan, true. Are they watching Nancy's accounts now? Oh, yeah, they're probably watching to see who accesses it, right? Who goes and accesses her accounts? J Bug, is Derek and Tommy were in cahoots. Why would he and Annie turn the Bitcoin tax over to the LE? Or did LE still have control of TNA's phones and they intercepted that? Well, it is very possible, Jay, that when they took their phones to look through their phones that they said they gave, it is very possible that those phones could have been tapped. I would almost say they probably are tapped, just like their cars are probably tapped right now. They have some type of either listening devices or some type of tracking devices. I would say that's exactly what's happened. So, did I hear something the other day? And guys, correct me if you heard it or not. Did I hear something the other day that they bought another car? A and T bought a different car. I don't know who Nancy's lawyer is, Cynthia. Jay, yay. Gronsky, after watching 857 and a half of Tucson, is hooked on something. 857 and a half of Tucson. Yeah, I get you now. Yeah, yeah, no doubt. KB, how much is mortgage in $2.5 million homes? Shitload of money is all I know. More money than I have. I heard was driving a new car. Can't remember who said yes. Yes. Okay. So, no, so let's stop, everybody. Think about this. Got to think about this. I heard it, and Ella's saying she heard it, but I did hear that A and T have a new car. They're riding in. Okay, that they have a new car. So let me ask you this question: did they get a new car because they knew that that car would not be tapped, would not be wiretapped, would not have um, a tracking device, would not have a bug in it? Is that why they got another car? Think about that for a minute. They're struggling to money. They're struggling to pay they're not their mortgage, but their property taxes, and all of a sudden they're gonna go ahead and get a new car. Cops haven't had that new car. Terry, good morning, Terry. Good morning. Good to be here. Glad you're here. Think about that. Gronsky, no air tag for the new car. Think about it. Because I heard that the other day and I was like, what? Rock says, agree. Cynthia says, rental? No, they're not going to rental. I heard they bought a new car, is what I heard. I just can't think of what person I was watching, but they said that they have bought a new car. And I asked myself right away, is that because they can't be tracked in that car? Hello, Tarek says, hell. Think about that. What do you all think, everybody? Jay, well, we know what dealership it probably came from. What was that? MG Motors? No doubt. J Mug says, we know what that dealership is. J Mug, no doubt. Well said. MG Motors. The guy's probably back over there in Syria or wherever the hell he's from. Oh, Lord. I didn't make that deal. Someone else made the deal. They don't have any money. That's my point. Tarek L1, good morning. Good morning. Laughing out loud, L. Good to see you too, Tarek. Zach, GM Motors, MG Motors. No doubt. What would that? That would be like, oh my God, that would be hilarious. Rock, MG, I wish I bought elsewhere. Think about that though. Can somebody Google that? I'm sure Google will probably say, "Oh, we don't can't confirm anything like that." But I heard yesterday that they bought a new vehicle. Let me just ask. Maybe they'll be kind and give me an answer. How about that? That's worth a shot. Let's see where we're at. All right. Let's see here. Is there any report that Tommaso Cioni and Annie had bought a new vehicle? Damn son. Sorry, buddy. This son. Is there any reports that T and Annie bought a new vehicle? Social media personalities and have done a brand deal cameo and lifestyle content, but no credit outlet reports a news on purchase. Now they're saying there's no confirmed report, but that doesn't mean it's not done. I mean that I heard it yesterday, and I know somebody else just said they heard it here. I think it was L. MG, I was brought out. It was brought. MG, I wish I bought elsewhere. Cynthia, good to see you, L. Paige, good job, dog and pups. I mean, but think about that, Cynthia. Thank you, Paige. Fan, right. Just so weird that the family has a standing up, not standing up from the first day, folks. Everywhere will love this attention for their loved one. You're not only kidding. It goes without saying. 110%. Did Annie and T buy a new vehicle? Because I heard they did. I just can't think of where it was. I heard it yesterday. And if they did, is it because there's no tracking device on it? There's no bug in there. They could take that car and drive it anywhere and not have to worry about it. And also, streamers would know what car they were in. I mean, they probably would know now, but they could park it somewhere else, drive their old car there, change cars. Now no one's going to know what car they're in. I mean, that's sneaky if that happened. I don't know if that's true, but I heard it yesterday. So I can't verify it, but I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. And yet they were struggling for money. So what gives? But I'm glad somebody else heard that too, because I didn't want to be like I was trying to think of something. The reality is, I really did hear that. I dislike ATCS and Cam. Yeah, I can understand that, Paige. Fan says I'm driving a small SUV. Mary's in the house. Good to have you, Mary. Maybe they were not struggling for money. What could they have been struggling for? What could they have been struggling for if it's not money, Mary? Well, the sheriffs had their other car for a long time, 41 days. But literally, Mary, what could they have been struggling for? What's going on, DD? Says Mary. Glad to have you, my friend. Nothing. Maybe they weren't struggling for nothing. I guess it's possible. Mike, the people that wanted Bitcoin were struggling for money. Hold on. the people that wanted the Bitcoin didn't know what the hell they wanted because they started with 6 million and they ended with a half a Bitcoin. That's like $26,000. Hey, maybe that's what they paid for the new car, 26,000. Just kidding. I don't know. KB, wonder if LE told them not to leave the country. They're hiding hard. No, that I don't think that guy said anything to them. Honestly, I don't think. I think he's more like, you better buy a new car because they got this car covered. That I could see, in my opinion. Him telling them, you better buy a new car because you can bet there's a tracking device there. there's a there's a ping somewhere in there, so you better get a new car. Hey, I could see that being said, in my opinion, due to all what I see that just doesn't make sense. Wonder Philly, Didi Crime Con is in Vegas this weekend. It's $400 a ticket. Yeah, I would go, but man, I'd rather go to Tucson. Honestly, just go to Tucson and check out the house and ask some questions and just kind of observe all the mannerisms that are out there. That I'd rather do that, to be honest. But next year, I'm thinking about going to Crime Con next year. Is it only in Vegas that they do Crime Con? And if it is it because that's where all the mobsters used to hang out? Crime Con? Crime Con makes sense, right? Crime Con? Okay, Mary's asked a good question here. Why do we think they're struggling? Well, I guess because it was reported, and I don't know if this is true or not, that Nancy had to take out another mortgage off her house so she could give them 200 plus $1,000 so they could put the down payment on the house that they're living in now. But I don't know if that's true. I think it is true. I think some have found that there has been other mortgages added to Nancy's home. I think there's some proof of that. I think it would make sense because they sold their old house and bought that house, but they didn't have enough. And so it was talked about. I just don't know if it's valid or not, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. They were struggling on their um, property tax, but then again, it could have just been struggling for that year. I don't know. I just think that there's been a lot of talk about it, and it's kind of like that theory, where there's smoke, there's fire type of deal. DD says, DD, I'm not sure, says Tarek. I agree, buddy. Hell, is it Tarek? Sounds like Tarek to me. I would have liked to have gone, but that's ridiculous. Yeah, $400 my ass. Cynthia, wow. J Bug, Crime Con Travels. Mary says, hi, L 1985. Cynthia, the houses. Mary says, did that really happen with Nancy Gill? That's what was going around, and I don't think that was speculation. I think that was actually there was some mortgage taken out. Um, I don't know how, but I know there's people that can find that information, public record for mortgages, what they're worth. Um, I think there is people that can find out that information, and I think they did, and that's how they were able to get that money. Because you have to look at what money Tommaso and Annie make. They don't make that much money. I mean, honestly, they don't make that much money. I'll be, I'll make more than they do put together. I make more than they do put together. So it's not that. In all honesty, okay. I think it's the fact that that's why everybody saw that they were struggling because they knew about this. But yeah, it's just interesting. Tarek, out one that doesn't include anything. Yeah, you don't get no soda pop or no free lunch or dinner, and yeah, no doubt, right? True, DD says Mary. Rock says my guess is that Kaleila's case will be postponed on June 23rd to allow more time to. If that case gets postponed again, if that Kalela gets posted again, I'll tell you what, you're right on something, no doubt about it. If that case gets literally, uh, 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 Rock, if that case gets really postponed again, they have people in their mind and they're trying to hurry up and basically bring in all that information. That's a very good point, Rock. Very good point. No doubt about it. White SUV and T was driving blue car the other day at Nancy's. C is in Nancy's. Fan said white SUV and T was driving blue car the other day at Nancy's. C is I think they got another car. I really do. Tarek, I read a booth 5,000 and they have like hundreds there, I think. Yeah. I just don't have one there. 5K, geez, no doubt about it, Tarek. L, glad to have everyone here. We value everyone's opinion. Amen. And his channel. Amen. On this channel, please don't forget to share, subscribe, click the little emojis, send some stuff, make the channel click, everybody. Let's get it. Let's bring it up because it's growing. We can't stop. I know we like the channel to be a little smaller because we can all communicate better, but we got to grow, and we are growing. I'm not kidding you on that. We are growing. Thank you, 1985, says Paige. LDD laughing. J-Bud, CrimeCon will be in late September in 2027, but the city has not been announced. They need to come to Detroit. They need to come to our neck of the woods, for God's sake. Cynthia, haha. Terry, thank you. J-Bug, L, Page, L, thank you for the info, J. Page, Mike, I think since YouTube is on point system, when surveys are taken, those numbers in criminal investigations should be used and people go into the negative. Probably, Mike. Dog, we did get a notification from YouTube about the membership glitch. Awesome. You guys, yes, we did. We got, yes, they're fixing it. So if you guys want to send anything, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to. I don't ask for jack. It would help get the things that we need. If we got some donations coming in, it would help get some of the things we're going to need because we are growing. And there's nothing more than getting the stuff that you got to have. But saying that, as long as I got your attention here, that's all that matters. That's all that matters to me. In all honesty, that's all that matters. Because you guys are a great bunch of people and you guys get it. You guys are here because you want to be here. And I like having you all because you guys ask good questions. That's just the way I roll. We'll figure everything else down the road as it comes. We'll figure it out. Believe me. This man right here, this man, double D, 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 I'll figure it out one way or the other. I'm not talking about the case. I'm talking about where our channel goes from here. But it's going to go somewhere because we are climbing. That's a fact. That is a fact. All right, where we at now? Paige with the hearts and everything else. Semper Fi. So now we have great group indeed, says L. I wouldn't want anybody else. I mean, I want a lot of people to come in, but you guys are amazing. You know, you guys are amazing. We ask good questions. We talk about important things. You know, I only giggle when you guys make me laugh. But short of that, I'm not the laughing kind of guy. I'm all about business. We gotta figure this out. We gotta figure out who did this. We got to beat everybody to the punch, as far as I'm concerned, because that's how I like doing things. I like beating everybody to the punch, you know. And when I say that, I don't mean you guys. You are part of Devil Dog, so that's what makes us such a good network. Still waiting on the latest DNA, and that's all we're waiting for, the DNA and that hair follicle. That hair follicle from, I think, I really want to, someone needs to Google that, 'cause I don't want to get it wrong, but the FBI got the hair follicle, but then it was sent to, I think, San Francisco. I think that's where they do that testing. I could be wrong, but I know it's somewhere out there. Paige fan with the heart. But think about that, guys. If they got a new car, I've heard it. Someone else heard it, but I know I heard it yesterday because I was listening yesterday. They bought a new car, is what I heard. If they bought a new car, why? Maybe they're thinking like we would think. They probably bugged it. They probably went ahead and put a bug device in it. They're probably listening to whatever we say. They're probably going ahead and have a tracking device. Can you imagine that conversation between Annie and T or A and T? Could you imagine that conversation? Hey, don't say nothing when we get in the car. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know if they have it bugged. We don't know. We don't know if they got a listening device. Don't say anything. We're just going to where we're going. We're gonna get a couple of cheeseburgers and a couple of fries. And you told me you wanted a Diet Pepsi. We're gonna get that and not say a word. Turn off the music a little bit. Do not say nothing. Could you imagine that conversation being a fly on the wall? Could could take months to get that results. Yes, it could. I would say every bit of 6 months easily. What did the drone say to the other drone? Quit whining. KB says YouTube still glitchy. It is. It is. L Rock, J Bug. So they probably bugged Nancy's car. No doubt. Here's the thing, everybody, and you got to look at this fact, okay? I know it goes missed because sometimes I don't explain some things maybe very well, but let's cover this real quick, okay? We're going to cover this real quick. If you're all listening, you need to really get involved, everybody. Chat, check this out. Tommaso, so if Annie was the Nancy's first, maybe she stole money from Acid. It's possible, Tarek. It's very possible. Maybe she got into the safe. Fan, cover the lens. Page, rock. Okay, listen. We know that it's safe to say that according to the sheriff and according to Tommaso himself, okay, they drove the car back to drop off Annie. Tommaso did. J Bug, take the notes. Okay, they drove the car back to Nancy's to drop her off. We know that the FBI had T's car for 41 days. That's a fact. Okay, we know that. The house may be bugged as well, and that's why they're never there. It's so true. So very true. It's easy to bug a house. All those people that you thought were fixing your cameras really were bugging the house. All those people that you thought were coming in and looking for things were actually laying bugs in the house. But here, follow me on this. So they take Nancy to the house and they drop her off. We know that the FBI has the telemetrics of the car. So Tommaso comes up to the car, stops. There you go. There you go, Mom. She gets out of the car. Her garage door opens. The car leaves. He sees her go into the garage. He leaves. Now, the telemetrics is going to tell you if that car that Tommaso was driving ever even got there. Okay? The telemetrics is going to tell you everywhere that car's been. Think about that. Now, the telemetrics is also going to say, was there a passenger in the passenger seat? Because they go on weight. They're going to see how many people were in that vehicle. They can tell you that through the telemetrics. That's why they were taking all that information out, in my opinion. But that's pretty much been confirmed. Now, 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 the garage door opens. There's a timestamp on that. It tells you what day, what time did that garage door open. It tells you what day, what time did that garage door close. Tarek, 41 days seems long. It does. Telemetrics is the car. That is correct. So now you look at the car telemetrics and you look at the timestamp of the garage door. They may be off seconds, minutes, even up to an hour. But as long as they're in that same ballpark frame, right? Paige with the thumbs up. As long as they're in that same ballpark frame of time, it's going to show whether they match. They're going to know if T was there at that house. They're going to know if that garage door opened and when it closed. So the idea that they don't know if he was there is crazy. They know if he was there. They're not saying anything. They're not saying a word. I mean, the sheriff even said as much as it goes up 2 minutes, and in 2 minutes it comes down. Remember? So they know the timestamps. And yes, they're not going to be exactly the same, but as long as they're in that ballpark frame, they got it. They got it. In that ballpark timing, they got it. They know if he was there. So if he wasn't there, he is their number one person who they're looking at. Whose house? Whose house, when they took his car, whose house did they go 5 times at a minimum to look for evidence? A&T. Why would you go to that house 5 times? You already went ahead and said they are cleared. Sheriffs, you said they're cleared. But you're going to send 5 times investigations to go to their house and look for evidence. On one of those times, you're going to come out with literally 5 clear, big trash bags full of stuff that they threw in their car. JLR got that footage. Spirit, yes, the group is great. Think about that for a minute. So you know they took 5 bags out of there on one of their times that they were there. You know they were there 5 times. You know they kept the car for 41 days. You know they got the telemetrics. You know they got the garage door stamp, time and stamp. You know if he was there or not. We don't know, but the FBI knows. And because the FBI knows, then ask yourself the question, what did they find that made them feel they had to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to A&T's house? Think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. Fan with the hearts. Spirit, yes, this group is great, Tarek, but the FBI says it has not cleared anyone. Exactly, Tarek. They haven't cleared anyone. That's probably why you're seeing back and forth at A&T's house. That's my point. A smart opener can open it. Absolutely, no doubt. Paige, Ellie knows who was there and when. No doubt about it. I just told you how you connected these timestamps. Here's the one thing they cannot say, and I think this is where they're having their problem. They can't say that T was driving that car. They just know somebody drove that car to the house. Now, T said he did it, so they have his testimony that they can use. So he's already sealed that deal. But technically, they can say, oh, well, he didn't know what he was talking about. No, he didn't drive. Because you don't know who drove. You just know there was a driver. You will know if there's a passenger or anybody in the back seat. Because that's what the telemetrics can also tell you. Who was in the car? How many times did the windows go down? How many times did the doors open and close? Think about that for a minute. They have their answers. That's why they're constantly going there. Then you add all the subliminal type of hints that you see. Annie and Tommaso, Annie and Tommaso, Annie and Tommaso, constantly. Why? Why are they hiding? They got nothing to hide. They didn't do nothing. Or did they? The circle in the crazy hills just add all things to the missing poster. Think about that. They're literally, you see that. You can put that together. Nano said, first children, who are the children? We know Savannah wasn't there. We know Cameron was probably there, but he wasn't staying there supposedly. He came in, was dealing with his rentals that he has in Tucson. Think about that for a minute. It's very important because there's so much stuff that has been said, especially what I feel in our channel. There's so much that has been said that sometimes you just forget. So I'm trying to bring you back. I'm trying to bring you back to the beginning. They know if he was there or not. It's just that simple. You know why? Because he said he was there. He said he dropped her off. And then he said when the garage door closed, he left. Yes, I think so, Tarek. I think he is still teaching sixth grade, in my opinion. I'm most positive. So they got that information, do they not? Okay, so this is the thing. If he didn't show up, he is their number one person of interest. 92% of the time, on a lady that's that age that Nancy was, it's always going to be somebody. 92% of the time, it's a family member. I didn't make those statistics. That's what it says. So now you have, if he did not show up that day when he said he did, they know it. Then why would they constantly go back to his house and get that check for evidence or whatever they were checking for? Yes, Paige, and statistics don't lie. 100%. Those timestamps don't lie. They may be off seconds, minutes, and or a day because of daylight savings time, but they're not wrong. They have the stamp is right there. Tarek, did you say 92%? Yes, it's that high. That came from Dr. Bagurlo or whatever his name is, the guy that you always see on the interview room channel. You always see on all these other individuals. Yes, yes, of that age, 92%. That's 9 out of 10. That's less than a percent that it's not a family member. I guess is the best way to put it, in my opinion. Just crazy that whoever came that Sunday morning, they didn't use the garage, right? How does that not make sense? How does that not make sense? Just that alone. Now, that doesn't tell you that he did it. That doesn't tell you that he was a part of it. That just tells you whether he was there or not. If he lied about being there and they're able to see that, and then they go, oh, he never showed up there. That car was never at her house on that day or the next day or the day before. Or maybe it did come the next day because they were called and they went out there to go ahead and look for their mother-in-law, their mom, Nancy. But that car wasn't there that night before on the 31st at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. That car was never there. It never showed up. So now you have definitely got your person of interest, your number one possibly person of interest. And then at that point, you're seeing them constantly go to their house looking for evidence. Think that's by coincidence? 92% is someone close to the victim, not necessarily 90, 92% is someone close to the victim, not necessarily the family. The family is included. It's much higher. It's like 60 to 80%. It's someone that knows that someone's in a family. I think it's like 62% if it's a family member. It's 92% that someone knows the family or the family members. Yes. Brownsky, Dr. Brutado. Yes, that's the guy. So absolutely. So think about that for a minute though. 92% that it's somebody that knew the victim. The victim. 62% could have been anybody. Could have been family, friends, whatever. And I think it's like 62. It's a high number, 72, that it's a family member. Too many numbers being thrown. Bottom line is, it's very plausible that he is the guy they're looking at. Now, I know some people said, no, I don't think it's him. And it might not be him. I'm not saying it is. In my opinion, it just seems there's a lot of things happening there. And they all go back to the reality of them getting the phone call, them getting that 9-second phone call, them getting the messages. They were the first ones. They were the first ones to get a message. Of all of them, they got a message. Do you have the Bitcoin? I'm not saying that was the first message. I'm saying they, out of the family, were the first ones to receive a message. Why would you send it to them? Here's a theory. I'm going to use Jane and Joe and Jane. Okay. No one is eliminated from the suspicion. Dr. Bricado. Yes. Thank you, Paige. Listen, I'm going to give you a scenario, and I'm going to call it, instead of TNA, I'm going to call it uh, Bill and Sue. Okay. And you know who they stand for, Bill and Sue. And this is just an opinion. This is not fact. It's an opinion. Okay. Bill and Sue. They go and they are, for a better lack of words, they're watching their P's and Q's and everything they're doing. They're watching their P's and Q's and everything they're doing. They are doing things that are unordinary. They are staying away from out of sight, out of mind. It is, their character is different. Their character, the way they act in public is different. Now, I get it. Their mother in law went missing. I understand that. Their whole repertoire is different. Their whole everyday life is upside down. Is it very possible that you have all these things that are linked? I mean, is it possible? Well, definitely it's possible. Is it probable that these two individuals knew about it, possibly even put it in motion? God only knows. I hope not. But it is possible, in my opinion. All the facts are factoring on them. Okay? Yes, we have LD over here, and that guy has not left my mind. Okay? And we have the guy in California who is a part of that phone call. Think about it. Wouldn't it make sense? I know we don't have the facts, And we're not giving facts, we're just giving ideas and opinions. But you put the telemetrics with the amount of visits that they had gone to their house, okay? You put that with the fact they're always trying to avoid any type of, like, they don't want to get that still picture, it's like trying to avoid that. Why, if they didn't do anything wrong? Just saying, just thinking outside the box. Because to me, they are definitely a person of interest that the FBI needs to talk to. And when I say that, there's a lot of people I think the FBI needs to talk to. People of interest. I'm not calling them a suspect, I'm calling them people of interest. They are people that seem to be in that realm of what has happened. Let me see what we got here. Maybe KB says maybe they kept going back to see what was moved, changed, or cleaned up. Very possible. J Bug, no one is eliminated from suspicion. Page, Dr. Mercado, that's it. Mercado. Rock. If A and T are victims, if A and T are victims of the Three Stooges, the mutilator's phone call, text may be the cast suspicion of them. Very well put. No doubt about it. Fan, it's like there's a story there, timeline, and now they have on a missing poster. Well said. Gronsky, their lives seem to have a big dark cloud hanging over them. Without a doubt, Gronsky. Without a doubt. In my opinion. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Hands down. And that's what you're seeing. The only person that I could see, in my opinion, that has as much or more that I could literally look at and say, that's the guy at the top, that's the guy that's involved, is LD. And I think he did that to himself. I know he did that to himself because of how he tried to clear his name, as he put it. And all he did is just bury himself even further, in my opinion. So there is a lot there. There is a lot going on. It's not by accident. It is not by accident. Okay? It is not by accident. This is all purposely done. So I think that that's something we need to look at. We need to literally look at, and we need to try to figure out. And if you can, try to find out, did they buy a new car? Do they have a new car in their possession? Because if they did, that would explain probably the fact of worrying about, is our car bugged? Is our car has a tracking device? We better get another car. I know we can't really afford it, but we better get another one just so that we can get around, because here we can't talk at all in this car. We just don't know. That's why I discussed my common denominator tip to with FBI. I found facts that made logical sense, says Rock. It just makes no, it would be very obvious that the law enforcement would be looking at that. Rock, can you tell Paige what you mean by common denominator? That is what I'm looking at. That's what I'm thinking. There's too many things that are connected. Too many things that are connected. And to me, it doesn't happen by accident. It just doesn't happen by accident. So the idea is that that's what we need to do. We need to find out if that's actually factual that they bought a new vehicle, because that adds into the suspicious activity that seems to be around these two individuals, in my opinion, along with everything else. You say, well, everybody buys a car. Not at this moment, they don't. Not at this time. Not if you're going through all what they're going through, in my opinion. So many things and people connected. Fan, maybe their blue SUV doesn't run now. That is why A is driving a white SUV. It could be. It could be. But you would think they would have gotten that fixed free because the FBI took it apart. Maybe they forgot to put something back in it, right? You would think. I don't think it's appropriate to say, but he knows all the parties involved and has been accused of SA. That is very interesting. Very interesting. I think the idea is that no vehicles have been at A&T's house lately, according to Jews and the neighbor via JLR. Does anybody know where they're staying at by any chance? But I did hear they got a new car, says L. But I did hear they got a new vehicle. I heard it. I heard it. No doubt about it. Creepy, says Paige. Creepy. Think about that for a minute. Doesn't happen by accident, folks. Doesn't happen by accident. I believe strongly that that's who they're probably looking at. That's who they're probably trying to make a case on. And if they can't show that that car arrived at Nancy's on that day, that night, that 9:30, 10 o'clock, whenever they arrived to drop her off, he's the number one guy they're looking at, in my opinion. It wouldn't be anybody else. And the only guy that I think has more baggage than him is LD. That's the only other person that I think has more baggage. So let that sink in for a while. Let that sink in and try to figure out if you can find out if they do have another vehicle. Because that's going to speak volume in my opinion. No idea where they're at. Neighbor didn't seem to either. Gronsky, no clue where they live now. Don't tell us you have info that you don't aren't willing to disclose, please. Jay Google says Page. Jay Bug Google says there is no evidence that Cameron Guthrie owns property in Tucson. We were told at the very beginning that that's where he was staying at is one of his properties, one of his apartments. That he has apartments. So I'm not sure why Google's is saying that, but that's been pointed out many times and on some of the interviews. My phone interview with the FBI was detailed, and I wouldn't want to spoil their investigation by revealing. By revealing. Okay, thanks, Jay. Appreciate you, Rock. I agree. I mean, I think there's a lot there, you know. And no matter what, the reality is that we have a lot of information, just like everybody else has a lot of information. But I really think that it's very plausible that this connection is made. Because if he's not the one, literally, if he's not the one, if he showed up there If he showed up at that house, there's no camera footage of Nancy's house getting any footage of him arriving with his headlights on in the dark. And there's no footage of him leaving with his headlights, his tail lights on at that house. Hell, there's no even footage of a car pulling up at nighttime at Nancy's on anybody's cam that they've shown. They haven't showed any evidence of it. So it is very plausible that that car never made it there. The telemetrics will speak its mind. It's going to say whether it did or didn't. Just something to think about, something to chew on. More head games. Okay, no problem. Fan, beep, beep. Where are they? Need to be speaking on S platform at least one day a week. I agree. Ninth, page with the heart. Bring your secrets to us. All right. He's got all the secrets. It's very, very possible. So I think we're going to end the chat. I think we've been on long enough. I think you guys have really covered a lot. Sorry about the misconfusions at the beginning. Started on a frickin' roll and then just kind of like stepped all over ourselves. But we recovered. We recovered. We recovered. And we got back to where we needed to be. Thank you, dog and mods. Appreciate all of you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much for everybody's questions and observations. Thank you for hanging in there. And once again, I appreciate all of you. Much respect. I'll be back at 5 o'clock p.m. 5 o'clock p.m. Take care, everybody. Take care. And most of all, it's common sense, everybody. It's all common sense. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Much love. Semper Fi, everybody.